is up, everyone? Misfits one and all to tonight's Midnight Ranting. Is society better off without religion? Dun, dun, dun. That's right. Where tonight we are having a modern debate-inspired after party. So won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time worth leaving your religion. Woohoo!
That's
What
right.
is
Here we are.
All out there on the interwebs. I don't know how they fit it through this one pipe. That is right. We hope that you are enjoying yourself, and don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe because it really helps us out. Speaking of really helping us out, a $5 super chat.
Thanks, UDEF. Went early just for you.
Woo-hoo. Thanks for the awesome streams. As always, Amy and James, great job modding tonight, Amy. Thank you so very much, Udo. I thought it was a pretty well-behaved
They didn't make
debate.
it hard on you tonight.
Yeah, which
sometimes they do.
I appreciate. Like, I enjoy both the spice, but I also like it when they're civil because, sometimes you try and get people into their corners and they just refuse to do so. And yet tonight was a good debate. So let me all, or let you all tell us what you think. Exactly. We are actually, we normally say on Amy time. I think we're on time. On time. In time, on time.
Out of time.
Out of time. Exactly. But thank you so very much, Judith. And I want to know what you all thought of the debate and the subject in general tonight, because we are talking, is society better off without religion?
They're saying they wanted to watch your flat earth debate and it's gone.
It's gone. With the flat earther and found it gone. That is interesting. So with the one with Nathan or the one with Witsit? Because that's interesting if it is. Sometimes it's on. James is going really into podcasting. I know this will sound very, very strange to people out in the multimedia realm, but this is technically not a podcast, even though we call it a podcast. A podcast is technically on a thing like Spotify. We're a YouTube, but we're also Facebook. It's all real technical. And so he has it on a lot of different platforms. And so I wonder if it's just, who knows? The TOS gods may be getting angrier at Flat Earth content.
Flat Earth, UDEF said, I don't know. Maybe it's YouTube. Maybe they're starting to crack down on the Flat Earth stuff. I don't know.
I'd be interested to know. Sending love out there. And I will say, I only do them because sometimes we get asked. The reason I handle a Flat Earth debate by tackling it as high level as possible while backing up the science. Hopefully that's the goal of what I'm doing, is that I present why the world is round, but that is generally, not to be offensive to a flat earther, but that is middle school up to high school and undergrad. But generally we're taught a lot of this stuff.
Well, according to what we're told, as soon as you're in kindergarten, the first thing they do is they throw a globe at you and say, you have to believe this or else.
Though I feel like, I want to try and win over people because I felt like in my last debate, you get this thing where you don't want to be condescending to, I guess I'll say, a conspiracy theorist. I guess I could not trying to win over their hearts here, but
Yeah.
Has to be Soros.
Sometimes
That's right.
Sometimes it's warranted a little condescension.
And we also get kind of the same shtick from creationists, especially the Young Earth Variety and all this. The not having a model
Similar.
is kind of, yes. But yes, we're going to say hello to everyone out there in the interwebs. Because if you hit that bell icon, not only will you see premieres, but you will get reminders to join our live streams. Like, what is up, Unif? What is up, Dofreak and Materialist Dan? And Garu Lady, what is up? And James Wolfe and Dave Gar and Heat Shield and Beamsy. And everyone out there, we are sending love. We are talking, is society better off with religion? Keep on tagging at James W. and at Amy Newman.
Yeah.
Besides us saying hello to you all. But we will be opening up soon the open mic.
This will be a quick open mic.
Yes. Because we're not reviewing a video or anything. It's so funny. What's a Jungian? I know DeFreak's joking, but I am actually a fan of Jungian archetypes in writing. As long as you are doing it in like a almost tied together with a mythic structure, it's fantastic. You're using Joseph Smith. In fact, it's funny that you brought that up because I wanted to bring a book on stream that I couldn't, and it's kind of worn, torn, and dog-tailed now. But a fantastic book, if anyone would like. This is the Writer's Journey, which is basically the simplified version of Joseph Campbell's 12 Steps. More fantastic story creation. I'm very happy. Also, I just have to give an update. I'm almost done chapter 2 of my book.
Oh, hey.
I'm
chugging right along.
The 2/3 of the way through chapter 2 exactly. So it will happen eventually, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people talk about it. I am writing it. That's right, Becky. Which to me always sounds like a good cheerleader name. What's up, Kill Doggy? Might be changing my name soon. I'm trying to think of a name. Well, there you go. Well, whatever you think is cool, I will support. Hey. What is up, Chad? Doom, doom, doom. We are talking, is society better off without religion? The debate that inspired, the modern day debate that inspired this discussion is in the link below. But we're talking how the debaters, T-Jumper, PF did, or just the subject itself. It's not completely theistic.
Totally theistic.
Totally theistic. Just put a hold on that. Oh, really? Hey, hells yeah. It's a good book.
Your book will be good. What's the
I
ETA
hope so.
on it?
So I don't have an ETA.
No.
The way that I work is that I know that if I'm moving forward, it's going to be done. I know that sounds very odd, but
as long as you're making progress. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, the outline has just made it so easy. Like, I now just have a roadmap, and all I just need to do is you just need to improv the scene. You know what the scene is. You know how the scene should start and end. And so you just got to improv in between it. Thank you, Larry David.
That's kind of...
Who is still alive.
Is he?
Yes. Doing new seasons of Curve. Yes. Well, that's all of us, isn't it? But yes, you're right. What was I saying? We also want to send love to before we. What's that?
Oh, she's just saying she's been atheist, Christian, Baptist. Yeah, we've all had made a few stops along the way.
Listen, it's a journey. I'm gonna take a sip. Speaking of Journey, not the band.
Yeah. Please stop believing. If you want to hear Amy sing the complete song, maybe we'll get to that one day.
Oh my! There are a few songs I want to do. That I want to record.
I want to do a Christmas album.
Like an anti-Christmas album? I'm all
for it.
No, I'm all for it.
Little Catholic drummer boy.
Jingle bell, jingle bell.
Jingle bell.
Rock makes you, rock out with your... Somehow we both went to that, though.
It's unavoidable on this street.
Exactly.
What can we say?
Because we kind of support the girl deck.
It is a thing. It is a thing.
Sometimes it's 15 feet.
Ken Hovind.
Look at that. See, but somehow we both are able to that's twice. Different jokes, same subject.
Hey, when you spend multiple hours a day looking at pictures of whale dicks,
I was gonna say
Ken is known to do.
The problem
it's kind of always on his mind.
SK724 has a lot of time behind bars, or at least he did, that he can actually, he got a really good time to study all those pictures.
Hey, Jena. Good to see Jena out there.
What's up, Jena? The queen of non-believing production. What is up, Jena? And speaking of which, let's get her man up with the plan, because can I tell you something? Hashtag
tell them.
Tangang.
They need to hear it.
Now I'm also skipping my introduction. I got so excited for hashtag Tangang and how awesome Jena is. But not only are you guys out there sending us so much love, just being a subscriber, a viewer, but the super chats, there are ways that you can become a channel member by hitting that big red button at the bottom. And when you do, doesn't matter what tier you are, you will get naturally evolving badges. You will go somehow from this little tiny test tube all the way up to that rocket ship.
Yeah. Evolution happens. It is a fact of nature.
But the best way to help us is also by sending us love at patreon.com/Amy Newman. Like all of our awesome Patreon channel members, fantastic supporters, like us from the Atheist Network Group. Boom, boom, boom. Because connecting atheists, because the funniest thing is you kind of know going into a debate what T-Jump, what James, myself are going to say. But when it comes to a theist, it can be anything. We don't know what we're going to
never know what kind of craziness will come out of their mouth.
We really do gotta. Now it's fun to listen and you know, but yeah, it's hard to really pin down. It's like Jello.
I mean, you could have a theist come on our podcast and say, "What is?" I don't get all this like logic and reason. I don't understand why you guys care about that so much.
I just have to say, just because. Excuse me, sponsored by Sugar Water. Just because it rhymes, just because a slogan is able to make a rhyme does not mean that it's true. I'm just going to put that out there.
Reason is treason to God. In that case, I guess we're going to have to be hung, drawn, and quartered because...
well, I know exactly. If that is the case, then
that's
hang us up. Though we're just kidding to you, gods. We want everyone to live. But yes, sending love to us, sending love to youtube.com/The Atheist Network Group. So you can check out Oz and Jena and Shane the Skeptic and Biddy Buddha and J Mike and Uncle Beck and Student Dr. Ben, myself, so many non-believers. Once again,
so many
we don't have holy wars. But we are talking also, is society better off without religion? This is our housekeeping. We are at the end going to open up to the open mic, but keep on tagging us with your comments, questions, and one-liners at James.
You want to come on and prove the Bible to us? Come on, completely theistic.
Come on, kinky.
It's a lot harder to prove a negative.
Prove to me the Bible is false. See, but that's actually so easy. Like, and I hate this is like the friendly Muslim. Every time I bring up this point, he gets a giggle. But like the fact that men have nipples means that the Bible is wrong. And I know that's like a subtle little thing. Like, what? Men have nipples? What does that mean? Well, it means that women were first biologically. It means that there was no Adam, that there was no snake or ribs. They did not go to Chili's and end up with a woman, which is the question they asked. They're like, what is a woman? And we're like, yes, what is a woman? Because it turns out that they're 51% of the population and they were here before men. Turns out. Oh, there we go. See, but that's a little bit harder. Now we're going back to the real thing. I like it though. But see, but that's not.
When you talk about disprove, we can show that it's blatantly absurd, but.
Well, but see, here's ridiculous. The problem. Because when you pick out the specific religion, that's why the joke is always that James and I are medium atheists. We'll take our atheist medium, please, because we think that some gods do not exist, but we can't prove all. Because you could make up a religion. Anyone could make up a religion. And it could be like, I don't know. I think it's probabilistically true that aliens exist. I think because of lots of scientific hardships and biological hardships, we're not going to be visited by them anytime soon. And so it could be they have the right religion. And like we haven't even been visited by the sentient life. The true savior is on the planet Gablork. And we just didn't know that, the goddess died for our sins.
You didn't get that memo.
Atheism means gods exist. No, atheism means we don't believe gods exist, or at least we're not convinced.
Well, that may be completely theistic, but we still haven't seen any evidence that any one is true. So until that's presented, we're just going to withhold belief.
But yes, but I would even say our assertion doesn't come from being atheists. It comes from being skeptics. It basically, going back to like top level claims, it's like we should not believe anything until we have good evidence for a God. Do we have good evidence for God? No, we don't. We could make a good logic flow here. No, we don't. Keep on circling. You can make it recursive. Every day, new day has come. Do we currently have good evidence for God? Check is no. All right, send back.
Yeah, Kill Doggy. That was I don't know who was that. Was that friendly Muslim who said it's the aesthetics? God just likes the way that the male chest looks with nipples versus without them.
Okay, but that has to be said. Come on. We know why women have nipples, right? Do we have to have
they serve a biological
metaphorical birds
females,
and bees talk here? And so the reason that men have them is because biology doesn't tend to like throw shit out. Like it's a garbled mess of everything that has ever come in the past. And so
you have to ask yourself, did like the first model, did Adam not have nipples, and then God created Eve, and then he saw, oh hey, those things look kind of. I wonder if we could put two on the male chest, but I mean they won't be functional; they'll just be there. They won't do anything really, but they'll just kind of.
And let me tell you something.
Decorate the chest a little bit.
Nobody here loves a fantastic, toned male chest that I can just rub down and basically squish a lemon over. And what were we talking about? I mean, no one's not going to love that.
Talking about Rebel
But,
Desert.
like, there's no
Very
way.
toned.
And did you see how, once again, the 80, like, it took me off by one set. There's no way. If that is him, then he should only come on here and talk without his, with his cam on. What was I saying? But yes, my skepticism.
The figure wasn't speaking while it was on camera, right?
Yes, that's also true.
And as soon as the camera was turned off, he started talking again.
Oh, I meant to do that.
Voice sounds a little bit of a disconnect with the voice, whereas I wasn't hearing 6 foot, 180 pounds. I was hearing more like
and look,
5'5",
voices
120
can
pounds.
be different. Voices can be drastically different. It's just one of those things that it was like it was very giffy. Very giffy.
Very suspect.
Very sus.
I
didn't play that game until recently. That along with Werewolf. It's a fun game. And you know what? No, I think I could say the spoiler. I don't know if at this point, if you haven't seen it, that's more your fault. But the recent Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield went on numerous tours through like a year and a half. And everyone kept on asking him, "Are you Spider-Man? Are you gonna be the new Spider? Are you gonna be in the new Spider-Man?" He kept on saying, No, I am not the werewolf. I don't know what to tell you. It's not me. Ladies and gentlemen, that was exactly what a werewolf would say. Do you see? Exactly what a werewolf.
There you go.
Oh, and it's great because they edited him and Tobey Maguire out of a trailer. And you can see there's just like numerous enemies jumping on screen and just like a single hero in the center and like clear two obvious dudes missing. One of them is a werewolf. Anyway.
What's the other
one? They're all Spider boys? Spider boy. No, it has to be, you gotta be a man.
My God, the freak. Let's keep it PG, the freak.
I can only imagine. Oh my. Yeah. Eddie, sending love to the entire chat. And also Ian Davenport. Woo! Ian reminds us we have a Facebook group, by the way. I should link that Facebook group. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a Skeptic and Ranting Facebook group. I'm going to link it as soon as the interwebs decide to hit me in the face. Go, Facebook. Come on, Zuckerberg. Come on, Zuckerberg. Here we go. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Come join us on the Skeptic and Ranting Facebook page. Did you ever have a MySpace, James?
Oh, I guess I did back in the day. I guess I
good times.
Did, yeah. 2007, 2006. Yeah.
They're always going to have something new. I gotta do Instagram. That seems to be what people are. The fashionable people. I like photos and films. I just don't end up taking a lot of photos of myself. I kind of like artsy fartsy.
Yeah.
Is it cheese or is it really the destiny of us all? No, it's cheese. Clean it. Throw it away. Okay. Sending love to Ian Davenport and a grumpy old Cuss. Woohoo!
Thank you, Grumpy.
A grumpy old Cuss reminding us when we hear these claims, specifically from Young Earth Creationists. Not this guy. Well, this guy seemed like a nice guy. I really like. I go. The Jordan Peterson shtick, I almost felt more bad for that dude half the time more than anything. Like, I like anyone who hawks mythic structure, but then that he also makes statements like, oh, you don't really act like you're an atheist, which is like this backhanded compliment. Like, oh, thank you. You think I'm so good that I'm not murdering people, but that's what you think atheists actually would do.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Fantastic. So yes, I like metaphorical theists. I like, I think the religious people are trying to find themselves a new William F. Buckley. Like a kind of a cultural, kind of a wears a tie and tells you to clean your bed, which is, I guess, Jordan's thing. But, yeah. I don't know. He spent like 2 hours fighting with Matt Dillahunty. Not fighting, argue with Matt Dillahunty over what the word truth is. And if you have to, it shouldn't be that long. It's kind of simple.
Wow.
We were trying to figure out what discerns fact from fiction.
Hey, when you can spend all that time arguing about that, you got plenty of time to smuggle in religion.
Indeed.
But
But yes,
you, Grumpy.
Thank you, Grumpy, and we can have our cake and eat it too. By once again, mythic structure will take over in our films, video games, and television shows, books, screenplays, because they will end up. Sir. They will end up being a lot better because we do not have to worship or think that they are watching us 24/7, 365. We can watch a Marvel movie and not think that Iron Man is going to be stalking us on the way home. It's the little things.
You can watch a Marvel movie.
Oh, sure. You can watch a Marvel movie and not think that
why don't you watch it?
I mean, that's what it really would be. If we actually treated that stuff like we joke, like, because, the geeks have kind of taken over the world, and so they act like we worship that kind of stuff. And I would say appreciate is the word, sir. But no, like this infallible baby drowning by the planetful God, I'm pretty sure we can let go. Now, once again, this guy tonight was more of the I hate to say Eastern. Is it the pantheistic, deistic,
esoteric,
the non-Abrahamic faiths? Which, now here's the thing: we like pagans, we like deists, we like pantheists.
Do we?
It comes with baggage. I do. Well, it's a weird drawing line.
Yeah.
It's a weird drawing line because I would say that, we're atheists. We're agnostic atheists. I don't know. I feel like we're backwards compatible. And
less
dogmatic and religion
imposing.
Is it? Yeah, I feel like if it's you have the one true religion, you're not going to be very big tent. You could be non-denominational. That's maybe an attempt, but generally speaking,
that's a step in the right direction.
It's your way or the highway. It's Yahweh's way or the highway. But I'm open, especially if you're a skeptic. That's really where
everyone except Jesus Christ. Well, those religions, the Abrahamic religions, tend to be the target of our ire a lot because they're so imposing about their beliefs, and it's what we end up dealing with most of the time. But It's no more wrong than like Hinduism or any of the Nordic religions or any of the other belief systems. It's no more wrong than any of the other ones. It's just more in our face.
Exactly. Well, and some people get a little huffy when I quote Joe Rogan, but if you would like to know the difference between a cult and a religion, in a cult, the leader knows he's full of shite. In a religion, that guy's dead. It really does seem to apply. But we are talking, is society better off without religion? If you disagree with us, please tag us or send in comments. We do want to hear your views more than anything else. We can't help us. That's right. So what is up, Solzo?
We'll be doing in a few minutes.
Exactly. We'll keep on going. Thank you, Diana Smith. That's right. I'll start to boom, boom, boom. Diana Smith sending love because 51% of... Well, I mean, we were just talking about it. The Abrahamic religions don't really treat women that well.
The best track record. No.
Beamsy says, we all know the one true religion of idonology is the only one that can be proven. I can now ordain people into it, and Beamsy would like you to know that
Holy Beamsy.
The religion, as Beamsy will tell you, of worshiping nice butts, curves.
Bless my stick, oh holy Willie Moscone.
And all right.
Thank you, Diana
Sending
Smith.
love to Beamsy. Sending love to Diana Smith. Sending love to Pat Lowinger. Woo-hoo.
Sure, we'll see him out there.
Exactly. Pat does what many creationists don't like, and that is research. He actually goes out in the field. So we're going to keep on spreading his expertise to you in more upcoming Talk Skeptics to me. But yeah, sending love, Pat.
Thanks,
and also
Pat.
sending love to Dale Pastel, who reminds us we're looking for a little bit of evidence.
Didn't get any tonight, but it was more of a philosophy debate, really.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens. So, DS, they're almost on our team. I mean, what are the words that, or I should say, it's a word game. Trying to think of Weird Al's word crimes. I think
it is it does come down to a lot of semantics, yeah.
Well, and I'm just against the entire notion of a brain, a mind. Like, that's where it all gets me. Because a lot of the times the theists will be like, well, let's just get to a creator. Let's just get to this first cause.
That's where Mark went with Darth
mind
at first, yeah.
Oh, well, that will work with a precept. The reason why you should secede ground with a presupper is because they want to make you look like you're unreasonable, like you're not ready to have a good conversation, or that you're not willing to understand what they're talking about. And so you almost kill with kindness, kill with, and Mark is the perfect prayer. Also, sending love to Mark Reid out there.
Yeah.
And sending love to Dale Pastel. Thank you so much, Daryl. We don't get a lot of empirical evidence. I always feel bad. I try to be, as really do. I get some flack sometimes. Both sides of things, too, which I think means I am doing something right for moderating. And then, I try and keep my lips shut. I even try to only shout out the thing. I was thankful you sent that in, that super chat, because then I said it. But because I always feel awkward trying to show.
It does feel like awkward just trying. I mean, you shouldn't. But
happily
I know
part of the modern day debate community. I'm very happy to be sending love to Sideshow Nav and Hannah and just James Coons and everyone out there. But yeah. But no, James, I follow in kind of his tradition. I treat it the way he does. I hopefully...
You're very fair.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm shouting this out. If you would like, I will. If you have an open show, I think the last time I modded a debate with LPP or did an after show, I noticed he didn't say, even though there was lots of comments, I think that maybe they thought I was biased towards the creationist. LPP did not say a gosh darn word against me, and I'm very thankful because he noticed. I shouted him out. I shilled for him hard, which I'm proud of because I don't care that he's, the opposing side or a creationist or whatever. He's part of the modern day debate community. Yeah. So sending love out there, and thank you so very much, Big Bad Mama. Doon. We're trying to keep it spicy while also keeping the queen of sound bites, which is all we really care about. The viewers, like you. But also,
out there.
Dave Gar! Sending love. That's right. We saw Dave Gar out there, sending so much love to Dave Gar, reminding us that flat earthers, oh my lord, they get as triggered if... Well, I guess that's why. Flurfs and turfs. I don't know why. Not to say, once again, just because it rhymes doesn't mean that it's right. But, man, they equally get triggered.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right, Mark. I think Tom was much calmer in this debate. I think that may have had to do with his opponent also being that way. But
sure. Well, I think you matched the
Tom
temperature. You matched the temperature that people are in. Tom didn't know who this person was. And so, it's hard to go against I actually say you want to give atheists a challenge, just become a sane, metaphorical, rational theist. It doesn't give us a lot to work with. I mean, if you
can still find stuff, but it is harder.
I mean, it means that I still don't think you're probably being completely skeptical towards your religious beliefs. However, the fundies, I mean, if you're just going to sit there and say the world is 6,000 years old, that the world is flat, that evolution is a hoax, Big Bang didn't happen. I mean, these are people... I wish it's not just one PhD. This is the expertise in the fields. These are the majority of people with doctorates are telling you, and a bunch of two schmucks are just trying to relay the information to you from the expertise. But thank you, Dave Gar, and thank you, Scott Duke. I saw him hanging around. Send love, answers in atheism as well. Send love, Scott. Reminding us we are indeed animals. We didn't just get poof into existence, as well as Regos. Sending love, Regos. We just did our Skeptic Bible study. We do a Skeptic Bible study on here. We're going right in order. Someone said that, I forget who came in chat once, was like, if you just did the pace you're doing, like, this is going to be like a decade, right? And we're like, it was an oh shit moment for me. But at the same time, it's like, man, the Bible's just creating this great content, isn't it?
It's so long.
It is. That's also what he or she said. And the goal is, if the Patreon becomes 1,000 and we can do this full time, we're almost crossed our first benchmark, 300, which is a great movie, except please don't take that as a morality. It was getting really 300-y in our Bible study last night. A little... nearly a little bit quotey and creepy, but
like, I am Yahweh, and kicks the guy into the thing.
It really was not too far from that. But at 1,000, we want to start doing triple the amount of content. So we want to do 3. We do about a Bible study a week. We want to do about 3 Bible studies a week, which means we would only get it done in about 1 year to 3 years. But hey, that's a season. That's seasons.
I mean, we could get it done faster if we weren't as interactive with chat, and if we did the open mic, but I think people like the way we do it, so it works.
That's true. And I also think we get a good in-depth. We, unlike a lot of things that they just read it, and maybe they talk about over the highlight, we look at, and now I feel like we're just patting ourselves on our own back, but it feels so good. But we just look at every line for its own merit.
Every line.
That, I think, just shows how stupid a lot of it is. And I mean, once again, I know it's the good book. How dare we insult it? But, like, it's really easy to, like, because it's a collection of 60-something books, you can pick a passage or two and, like, quote it from the pulpit every week, and you're going to be okay. But I could do the same thing in reverse and probably times two. Like, I could fill that up way longer. Matt Dillahunty says, Kent would say, give us your Bible studies. And Matt would say, would you let us give an atheist Bible study? Because let me tell you, we would, oh my. But also sending love, I do have to say, sending love Aaron and Hogfather and we said Lionel, but Lionel, what's up?
Math Pig is out in chat. Hey,
and Leophilius and Math Pig. Is Math Pig out there? Because
Hogfather.
I need to. Is Hogfucker Math Pig? I am so going to hit him up like the moment we get into. Like, because I'm gonna keep on saying. He told you to send him a message. He did. I'm such a procrastinator. Yeah. You're right. I'm gonna do that while we do there. Sending so much love. Yeah, Father is so not Math Pig. Well, we're just sending love to you anyway. Oh, he's giggling. Oh, okay.
He's so not Math.
No. Well, we're sending love to everyone out there in chat. We are going to just finish up. We got Rachel Holland. Fabulous, fantastic, amazing, and sexy Rachel Holland reminding us that the Bible would never support non-consensual slavery. James, that would be horrible, wouldn't it?
It would be pretty bad. Hey, we got Math Pig in proper form.
See, now Math Pig is like, he's wearing a.
I blew his cover. I thought everybody knew that was Math Pig.
Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. What's up, Math Pig? Send love. The admin.
P-bot. Good to see a P-bot.
Basically, I have two real admins, and that is Tighten Your Sphincter and Math Pig, who make the Discord go round. But also sending love to Peebo, and sending love to Rachel Holland and Senator Cato, reminding us that the most important thing we could really hope for is a separation of church and state. All of these different religions think they'll be the ones to be in charge, but chances are it won't be. I'm the Second Baptist and they're the First Baptist, and oh no, the Third Baptist Church took control. All right, whatever. Yeah, just be secular. Sending love to the amazing and wonderful. I'm pretty sure we saw him out there just a little bit. To James Wolfe. Woohoo!
Thanks, James. I'm sure
sending love to James, reminding us that we do many late night streams. The fact that we were on time and it is not daylight is basically mean that this is a morning stream for us.
Is that evidence for God?
It's evidence for something.
Big screen bird. Good to see bird out there.
What is up, Dr. Vegetarian Bird? I hope you are doing well. He became a vegetarian ever since the flood. It's like the opposite, but It's crazy. Once water starts flowing at a certain level, which to me is the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know why the flood. Well, I guess I know why the flood, because you have to make it then. But, like, it always just seems like sin would have had something to do with that. But nope, sin has nothing to do with killing, eating each other.
No,
that was way later.
on. Yeah.
That was a DLC. But last but certainly not least, sending love to
Abcdeig.
Reminding us that these creationists, they have no idea how to. Yeah, they are something else indeed, and they don't know how to create a galaxy, a solar system, well, they know how to create sock accounts.
Oh, sock accounts.
Not much else.
I think Otangelo probably devotes at least an hour or two of his day just to making new sock accounts.
Yes, he signs them up at his www.thisisverymuchscience.com.
Thank you, Big Bad Mama.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much, Big Bad Mama, and all of our subscribers, our viewers, as well as all of our supporters out there, everyone who's been sending in super chats, all of our channel members, all of our Patreons. You guys make this channel even possible. And all right, we are going to set it up.
Do it.
Basically, James and I are just, and our producer Gizmo here, are just going to have opening statements. And then we are going to open the mic.
You ready?
Dun, dun, dun.
Keep trolling the A-Dawa. He deserves it.
Ha ha ha. Who is?
The freak.
Really? That's funny. Yeah, they probably have a fun time on there. I have not been on there in a while. I kind of made like an opposite pact with myself. I don't know if I should ever go back on there.
Yeah. Fuck them.
But before we go into the open mic, is society better off without religion? Yes. Because not only is religion a superstition, but it's the largest, that's what he said, or she, superstition in the world. That is to say, an entity from a supernatural or paranormal realm, which, as far as I can tell, does not exist. Thus, religion, or rather the belief systems, are the vestiges that we still carry around with us from when we were still walking on the plains. It was our first attempt at science. With fields like astrology and alchemy eventually giving rise to astronomy and chemistry. Understanding historical context is great, though that doesn't mean we should be sacrificing animals to make it rain. The same is true with religion. Why should we be sticking to the beliefs of people from the Iron Age or back? Yes, Aristotle is a pillar of Western thought, but he also believed we lived in an ether. So, kind of means we need to adjust when we learn, and sometimes often corresponds with new data that we intake. But woes of religion are endless. When we think of the persecution of minorities, women, or the LGBTQ+, this comes to the forefront of our mind. Without religion, this sort of baggage would fall away. And that's just the Abrahamic religions. What about the woo of chakras, energies, reincarnations, crystals, and the softer side of religion? You know, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. Well, I like incense too, but we don't need any supernatural shenanigans to light a candle. We don't have to sell out our skepticism for a watered down version of something that was already horrible. So, is society better off without religion? Not only is the answer yes, but anything positive we could have gotten from religion, like being in a community, is done even better when you don't have the in and out tribe of the different religious denominations. Hopefully, with time and information, religion, like the dodo bird, will go extinct. Thank you. Woo-hoo. And all right, before we open up the floodgates and the open mic,
we're almost there.
Oh my, James W.
Hang on.
I mean, we couldn't help ourselves tonight. It's almost our bread and butter. I mean, we have to ask, is society better off without religion?
Well, I think as a matter of fact, without a doubt, yes. Absolutely. We would be better off without religion. I think T-Jump did a good job pointing out in today's debate that the more secular countries in the world are doing just fine. And the fact that they tend to do better than countries where there is more religiosity. I think that's very telling. And it's not like it's all over the place. It's a pretty obvious when you look at all the data. Now, does that mean all religions are bad? Does that mean that there can't be forms of religion that are more milder or less harmful than others? Sure. That's true. Like anything, there are poisons that are very deadly. There are poisons that are not very deadly. They can still be poison. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be the most toxic poison to still be a poison. And I think that's what we're in most cases dealing with. We're dealing with trying to step things down in a positive direction. We tend to fight more against the most harmful aspects of religion, the most harmful strains of it, that the examples that we see. But it is important to realize that the goal is not just to get everybody to a more moderate version of religion, which would be better, but the goal is to move everyone in the direction of rationality. That is not believing in any religion until one has been demonstrated with good reason. We haven't seen that happen ever. We haven't seen any religious system that offers us really anything in the modern world. all these systems are based on times when human understanding was a lot less than it was today. These religions perhaps they had a use, perhaps evolutionarily, there were things about it that allowed it to hang around. And I think one aspect that keeps it going today is the aspect of tradition. It is something that families have done, people have done for a long, long time, and it could be, I guess, kind of hard to tell. Do we rip that Band-Aid off? Do we just abandon something people have done for a long time? And that might not be an easy question to answer for everybody. Like, we do this program, and we do, like, just last night we had a gentleman who's been watching our stuff, and he said, like, oh, well, let me know how many converts you get, and we'll see how good you guys are doing, And we do get that from time to time. Why are you guys doing this? Why? Because there's people that are going to just believe what they believe. There's nothing you can do about it. There's always going to be religious people. And like I said, the idea that people are going to turn on a stream as a theist, a Christian, and end the stream as an atheist, that is actually quite rare. I mean, it would be great, but that really hardly ever happens. What typically happens, what happened for me, was that it was a cumulative effect of a very long time of consuming materials, reading things, watching videos, coming across things in your everyday life that the cumulative effect of all that caused me to realize I didn't believe anymore. And so we are just out there trying to move the needle in that direction. There are some people who are just never going to be ready to give up religion. That's okay. That's all right. It's okay. We're not going to win every single person over. We're not going to win every battle. And that's okay. You have to realize that. There are going to be people who you're just not going to be able to convince. And that's the nature of the beast. But overall, we can move the needle in a positive direction. We can convince people that they don't have rational reasons to believe. And we can move people towards the better direction. Like we said before, secularism. You want to live in a secular country because there are theocracies out there, and you probably don't want to live in one because they're not very pleasant places overall, unless your religion is the state religion. But even then, any deviance from that, you can be persecuted. And that's really the story that what led to secularization of governments, particularly in the West, was this realization that having these dueling wars, these periods of time where different people from various religions are persecuted, it kind of sucks. Going from, we saw it in Great Britain, switching from Protestantism to Catholicism. One monarch's burning the Protestants at the stake, the next monarch's burning the Catholics at the stake. Another monarch starts, we're going to convert back to Catholicism. Well, now we're going to be Protestant again. And in the wake of all that is heaps of dead human bodies burnt to a crisp because they didn't believe what the state mandated they believe at the time. And moving away from that has been good. And we are moving in the right direction, but we can always get better. And that's what we're trying to do here. So anyway, let's open up and see what everybody has to say. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so very much, James.
Trying to just move that needle.
And all right, we are about to open it up into the open mic. We already got Beamsy backstage. However, if you would like to join us on the live stream, the StreamYard link is in chat and on screen right now. So feel free to join us. If you agree, disagree, we are trying to find out tonight, is society better off without religion? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And all right, with that, we're going right into our open mic. We are Midnight Ranting, and Beamsy, we got you on the girl deck.
That's where he's always wanted to be, on that girl deck.
Oh my. What is up, Beamsy? We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well, and what are your thoughts tonight?
That creates a bit of an issue because you'd have to establish where religion fits within society. A lot of places, religion is intermingled with society, and so a lot of people find it very difficult to separate the two. Take an example of Islam. They actually have their society intermingled directly with their religion, so religion is their society. Then you've also got things like a lot of other countries like Australia, in which religion is barely in existence when it comes to society.
Yeah, that's the hurdle that I actually see with Islam. I think each religion, they kind of have their own shtick that we have to work against.
Getting their tentacles wrapped around society.
Is that they make religion very political.
There are a few others that do it as well, but that's the biggest one.
But as Falcon once said, everyone's got a shtick. Yes. Welcome aboard, Beamsy. Lovely to have you. We're going to keep on talking as we get the other two people in.
Well, I'm fine with that as long as there's no keelholing.
Oh, my.
We'll save that for the after show.
Exactly.
Well, count me out.
Stillette, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well, and what are your thoughts?
Hi, yeah, I thought I would just offer
Good
evening. I thought I would just offer an opposite opposing view. I definitely think society would not be better off, only because religion and metaphysics are the only place where you can find answers to existential crisis things. The physics and physical sciences are not in the, they're not in the job of looking for satisfying answers to people. And sometimes people need satisfying answers just to get by. And yeah.
I could.
Okay.
And you know what? Even if I were to prod, I feel like we would end up just keep on talking. So instead, I am going to play by my own rules and be a good girl. Stillette, thank you for joining us, and stay on board for the open conversation. We just have two more to get on board.
It's going to be a packed girl deck.
Oh, my. Mark Reid,
hey, Mark.
Welcome on board. We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well, and what are your thoughts?
Hello. Yeah, it's great to see Amy and Beamsy and James. Love you all, guys. Back. And I'm sorry, I missed that person's name who just got on. Who was that? Stillette, how are you? So is society better off without religion? I personally think almost certainly. And I believe that way for a sort of overarching reason. I think that hello, big screen bird, you are a sexy beast yourself. So the problem is that religion doesn't do anything that secular charity groups and secular social interest groups could not do. They do nothing of that. That's not to say they don't do good things. They do charity. They do help people. There is things that they do. But I think that secular groups can do exactly the same thing. I kind of think religion and they're right. Religion does give answers, but what we want to do is make sure those answers are correct. We don't just want any answers. And anybody can give an answer. It doesn't mean that it's the right answer. And the problem I have with religion is it forfeits investigation into what is actually an answer. Because when you give an answer of God, it's the end of the investigation, because God can't be investigated. We can't progress from there. So that's my one of my main problems with religion. It's bad for society because it says do not investigate the answers that we give you. Don't look into it. And that goes against everything that I believe in. And I think that's bad for society. I think if you say, well, how does these quantum mechanics, or how was the universe formed, instead of investigating it, we say God did it. And that's it. You're never going to figure out the reasons behind that. I also think that the indoctrination of children's really bad. I think that some of the practices, like mutilating genitalia and things, is terrible. I think there's a lot bad with religion. Does it do good things? Yes. Does the good outweigh the bad? Absolutely not. I'm really sorry, but there is a ton of harm being done by religion in our society. If you look at the laws that are being created and forced upon other people, not for any benefit to those people, but because of a segment of society's personal beliefs, that's really bad for society. If anybody does it, we should be creating laws based upon the benefits it gives to people, not what I believe or what somebody who's religious believes. That's just not a good way to run a society. Yeah, and I'll leave it there. I'd love to discuss why people think that it's a benefit for society, but I'll leave it there. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so very much, Mark.
Thank you.
And all right, we got James, Wolfe, Leo Felius, and Randolph Richardson in the queue. We are going to have a full girl deck. Lovely to have you, Mark. And then we're going to pull in James. James Wolfe, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Thanks, James. Good to see you, Mark and Stilette and everyone who's going to jump on. You guys can hear me okay?
Yep.
Sorry, I just got some back cross talk there, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, so really interesting debate because it sort of delved into the whole syntax and didactics of God in like the etymological sense. Like what root does God even really mean? And it kind of thought of it as well, and just to digress for a moment to answer the question about is God good for society? Was that the society better without God? Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, I think beyond the most vulgar caricatures of current apologists and stuff, I don't at this present moment. I think it's pretty much beyond doubt that we're better off without it. I mean, I know I'm sort of coming up from it. Might be an echo chamber perspective and stuff, but it's I don't think that I think it's pretty sound the reasoning that in this day and age that society's better off without it. I think that's almost beyond dispute. I think a more interesting question and a more debatable question is its role in history, and and to what extent. To what extent the God concept has played an actively good or bad role in the unfolding of history, and what T. Jump and Jung, I can't remember his first name, the ironically titled Jung, actually, he was that correlation, discussing that correlation between where either phenomenon of atheism or religiosity was occurring historically and geographically, and to what extent that correlation with atrocities was occurring, and to what extent you can reliably attribute that to either phenomenon, which is an extremely difficult question to answer, I think. I think that there's a couple of quotes here that they're really interesting. Arthur C. Clarke, he said, the greatest tragedy in mankind's entire history may be the hijacking of morality by religion. You can also, on the other end of the spectrum, there's the Solzhenitsyn quote that referring to the atrocities that occurred in the Soviet Union. A great disaster has befallen Russia. A great disaster has befallen Russia. Men have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened. And the exchange between Jung and T-Jump was interesting in that it went into that they, for some reason, they used for a little while Russia as a case study for this, and the communism and all the occurrences, the historical occurrences in the USSR. And I think both of them oversimplified it a bit, but I think that it's the psychological implications of removing a placeholder that has been strongly tied to morality over such a long time. I think that's, and it's a far more nuanced question, a far more complicated question to say, oh, it was the removal of God and that's why all these atrocities occurred. I know that they referred to collectivization and Lysenkoism and all this kind of stuff, which if it comes up in conversation, I'll go into a bit more. But it was, that the psychological implications of removing God when it has been such a almost synonymous thing with the concept of morality is something you've really got to consider, I suppose. And I don't know if Leo's jumping in, but I was hoping to maybe get his thoughts on the whole Marxism
He'll be on
thing because. Oh, beautiful! Because they mentioned, what did they mention? It was about
Leo is a Marxist, that's
why I kind of they were throwing things around like Lysenkoism, and I think that was tied. I could be mistaken, but that was tied to Lamarckian, the concept of Lamarckian evolution, because Stalin was a Lamarckian evolutionist, I believe.
So yes, yeah.
And so he thought that sort of correlated
Not
with
Darwinian,
Lamarckian.
but yeah.
No. So and also these. I've never heard of the quote of to kill the bourgeoisie and their children. I've never heard of that. And that I do know that there's a few quotes in there that are a bit controversial. I don't know if it's in the Communist Manifesto, if it's in Capital, what it's in, but he does use the word
Das Kapital. Yeah.
Das Kapital. He does use the words revolutionary Holocaust, which is a more controversial translation, but that's more commonly, I think it's translated into world storm or revolutionary world storm, which and that's often referred to as, a lot of people have to perish for these changes to take place. And one last thing, just I know it's a little bit off topic, but I think that whilst T-Jump was right about there was the disastrous collectivization problems and the Lysenkoism that caused mass starvation in Russia. I think there was a little bit of intentionality there for Stalin and the Holodomor, if anybody's familiar with that. It was basically almost a deliberate starvation of people. Yeah. So there was a little bit more.
He was taking the grain, and it was worth more to him on the open market than it was to let the people there eat. So.
Make
them farm the grain and sell it on the market, and whatever they ate, they ate.
And I think that there is something to consider, the idea that that a certain amount of people were expendable within a revolutionary context, and the Marxist ideal or the communist ideal that the ends justify the means. I think that those sorts of precepts are worth considering, but I've ranted on enough. No, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, James.
Well, welcome aboard, James. Always lovely to have you on the panel. And stick around because we're about to go into open conversation. We got Leo Randolph and AJ backstage, but you wanted to hear his points. I wouldn't say that we are prophet and prophetesses. However, you can't say, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't have supply and demand. Leo Filius, we are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts?
I don't know if this. Okay, hold on. Let me get my
Yeah, you're on mute.
mic down. Let me make sure my volume isn't too loud. I think the question, is society better off without religion, is not an answerable question. I think the people that would be most qualified to answer such a question would probably say we don't really know enough to answer that. A lot of people would probably respond with, well, but Saudi Arabia. But can you point to those issues being a direct result of the religion, or could there be other broader socio-cultural aspects that play into this? I mean, there have been people who weren't religious who did equally as bad, if not worse, things in history. So I don't think that we should be so quick to say bad things happen in a deeply religious country, therefore it must be the religion doing it. While I'm not saying that it can't be, that can't be a factor in it. I think it's a lot. I think it's much more nuanced than that. I don't think a lot of people really realize how interwoven with broader human culture the notion of religion actually is, and how they both sort of press on each other and give rise to different cultures and different views and a variety of other facets of our societies. So is society better off without religion? I don't know. I don't really think anybody knows. I don't know if we have the ability to determine something like that. Quite frankly, I don't know if we would be capable of isolating the variables and running the right experiments to determine whether or not a society would be better off without religion. And I also think that you would probably run into some issues with really digging down into what we mean when we talk about religion. Is Buddhism a religion? Are we going to consider that in the mix? So I think there's just a lot of nuance and a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a lot that I don't think that we will really be able to know that prevent the question, is society better off without religion, from being answered, at least in any meaningfully honest manner.
Thank you so much, Leo.
Oh, and with respect to Marxism, just if an opening happens towards the end of the open mic here, I wouldn't mind answering a couple of questions.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you so very much, Leo. Welcome on board. And also, Randolph, what is up? We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts?
Is that Randolph, or is that Daemon Targaryen with short hair and his hood up?
Dun dun dun! The dragon has arrived.
Inspired by Mark Reid. You're on mute, Randolph.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Randolph Richardson. I hope you're having a good day. Sorry.
I am your father. I am the Sith Lord, Randolph Richardson. You're on mute, Randolph.
I don't know if he might, because I think he does OBS. He's either muted in StreamYard or he's muted in OBS.
StreamYard had me muted.
Okay.
Sorry. So
there you go.
I'm. Thank you. I didn't realize. I appreciate that, Leo. I am inspired by Mark Reid's style here, and I went and grabbed a jacket to go along with it. I'm hoping I'm doing it right, and it'll be. I'll have to defer to Mark to find out if that's the case, since he started this. In all seriousness, though, I do think that religion is not the only problem for society. So I agree with what Leo's saying, but I do think that religion does create a lot of distinctive problems, particularly the religions that we encounter where the faith is impermeable and it won't give way to our own desires and fights us every step of the way in adaptation until somebody who claims authority within that religion to interpret it in their way and deviate from it comes along and changes things. And yet the big problem systemically with it is that people keep going back to the scriptures, which cannot be changed. Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and many, many others have this problem. And even though we see multiple denominations, we're seeing division within those ranks. One of the biggest problems, I think, is an ethical issue where people are given justification for doing horrible things. And it's kind of like with Daniel Dennett bringing up an example of why it's unethical in his view for neuroscience people to come along and tell people that that they don't have free will is an unethical thing to do. People who get the impression that this deity has laid out a whole plan for their life and they can't deviate from it no matter what, and every deviation from it seems to be an illusion, or that or that neuroscientists are coming along and saying that you don't have free will because that's just how it all works, all of whom have not, it seems to me, have not considered the slight possibility of a free will particle that makes this happen. I think this way it kind of alleviates a bit of a burden of responsibility from people in their minds, and then their inhibitions that the tool that they use in their in exercising their own sense of morality can be lost, and we lose a lot of quality in society for that. So now, again, to be very clear, I agree with Leophilius here about his point about religion not being the only source of problems. However, I do think that religion is responsible for a lot. And if we take a look at Christopher Hitchens' works in his wonderful yellow book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything, he makes a fantastic case for why religion is problematic. So thank you very much, Amy, for hosting this, and James, and I look forward to hearing more views on this.
Woohoo! Thank you.
Can I just make a point of moderation?
Okay.
You can read my comments there in the private chat. All I'm saying is that if you don't trust my word on this, you can ask Titan Uranus. He'll to say the same thing. Just don't. Just do not.
So I
think Leo Filius is very subtly trying to pass on his burden of responsibility here.
Well,
I'm kidding.
We go back and forth because it's hard. It's a hard decision. I think the larger skeptic community has been trying to.
I don't think it's a hard decision. Not even just being serious. He needs help. He needs help, and he shouldn't. No, he should not be brought. No, I'm sorry. No, he should not be brought on a live stream on.
Well, we
on
are doctors.
Media. No.
I don't think we should.
It's not about needing to be doctors. It's blatantly obvious. It is blatantly obvious to any sane human being, and it's not something that we should muster.
I am going to weigh in support of Leo here. I think that I think Wesley is a really good guy, and I think that I want to help him in some of the way. The problem is we have him on and everybody's laughing and stuff, and he gets worked up, and it worries me. I'm sorry, it worries me.
The biggest thing that
we don't want to do that.
Well, the biggest thing that I don't like is punching down. I only like to take punches at people who throw punches at us, and I even like sometimes punching up. That can be an art in itself. But
one possible solution, Amy, is to limit the time he speaks and just make it clear going forward, and then that way, because I know he can be kind of.
We're not going to let him. We're not going to let him make prophecies or say anything that's kind of insane.
The problem, it got very TOS close when some of the things that you say are like, no, I mean it. It's like, no, you got to say that funny. Like the whole, when we're talking about cannibalistic end of the worlds, you have to send that script to Hollywood. But I love you, Wesley. I love you. I know. Let's. I almost feel like we should take a vote. We haven't utilized the voting pool because I feel bad.
Democracy, gotta love it.
I feel bad both ways because I don't want to feel like Leo has said, like we're punching down, if not, and that's really the kind way of me saying it. So somewhere between freedom of speech and us not being an asshole is what I'm trying to figure out right now.
I hereby exercise my freedom to abstain from this vote, as I favor freedom of expression. But I think this is really a channel owner's decision.
Let's get Atheist Junior on, because AJ's awesome. No. All right. Atheist Junior, AJ, we are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts about the debate topic? Anything we talk about?
Yeah, the debate was pretty good. I mean, I watched most of it. But yeah, I would have to agree with what Leo was saying about I don't think this question is really phrased that well. I think it's too vague. Because I don't know if you can really separate society and like the actual just concept of religion itself. Like that's like saying like, would society be better off if we didn't have like mythology or like symbols? But I mean, if you narrow it down to like a specific religion and culture, I would say absolutely yes. Like America would be much better off without the influence of Judeo-Christianity, especially on our politics and on our laws. But yeah, I mean, if you get rid of all religion, that means there's no like Greek or Norse mythology, and that stuff's pretty awesome, you know? So, I don't know. I guess it's a tough question. So like, there are obviously a lot of things that where religion has caused harm, like Catholic priests abusing children. I mean, that's not something that was like invented by the Catholic Church, but they have like centuries long history of abusing their power. I mean, the Pope right now is going on a tour to different reservations where he's apologizing to indigenous chiefs for all the shit that Catholics did to them. You know,
cough, cough. Public relations, cough, cough.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's like, it just reminds me of South Park, like the BP oil spill, where the guy's like,
"God damn it, AJ!
Sorry,
I was gonna say that.
Sorry."
Please repeat. I couldn't hear that.
I was literally about to bring that up. It reminds me of that.
On South Park, like when the BP oil spill happened, they did this skit where like the owner of the company is like naked on a bear rug, and he's like, "We're sorry."
Wow.
Yeah, but I will just end my time to move on. And you know, as for what Leo said a second ago, don't let somebody come on and just ruin the show, Amy. So I vote with what Leo said. I'm done.
Well, I'm reading in the private chat, and I don't think he's going to engage with us in an appropriate way. So, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Amy, you should share my story.
I'm gonna go with
people, man. I want to come on and have fun with the people that I'm friends with on here, not have some lunatic come on and ruin everything.
I'm going to
speech.
That's a little harsh.
Hey, I'm just calling it like I see it. I mean, you start making prophecies that we're all gonna die. I mean, that's a little crazy. I'm sorry.
I really hope it shared the audio.
I just like this because they do this like over and over and over.
Hello, I'm Tony Hayward, President and CEO of BP. Our accidental drilling spill again in the Gulf is a tragedy that should have never happened. And to all those affected, I want to say, we are deeply sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
It looks so creepy here.
Sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
All right, that's not...
Hey, that mountain thing looks pretty nice, actually. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Wow.
But yeah, AJ brought it up, and immediately I'm like, BP.
I'll get cereal because I know
Super
a lot of super cereal. Well,
gotta get that TH in there.
And I'm sending love to Micah, who is new, who has never heard Wesley speak before.
No,
we've had him, and I once again I would share a beer with him, it is interesting. I'll say the best defense that he has is that some of the apocalyptic nature, who was saying it, does sound exactly like Revelation. The problem is that to us, I mean, the joke generally is that Revelation sounds like the ravings of a madman. But and that is me paraphrasing and quoting other atheists. I did not make that phrase.
So, Amy,
'cause I feel like
in
I'm
the private-
punching down already.
In the private chat there, perhaps take into consideration the racist commentary that the guest is using now, the one who's not on screen yet. I just wrote back to them, it's not acceptable here. That should be a consideration in your decision on whether to bring them on. In my recommendation.
Racism, boo!
Yeah, what the fuck, man? I mean, that's a random. Okay.
I didn't know this.
Like
kinda
we
hard
don't like
to-
the idea of
It
just
doesn't
not
make sense.
talking to somebody or just refusing to talk to somebody who.
Well, no,
But-
and this yes, like James saying,
We don't want to be
we
seen
hope-
as exploiting somebody's mental illness.
we are the cuddly side
For
of
context.
politically incorrect. We want people to say things, but like he comes on here to prophesize not just the end of the world, but the end of the world to get very gratuitous, if I should say so.
Cannibalism and, yeah.
Cannibalism and all this. And every time we
You
try
mean
and make
grotesque?
it. Yes, I totally. My pronunciation sucks. I have good comprehension and terrible pronunciation. But and every time we try and even make a giggle about it, he's like, no, they're really going to be eating children in the street. And we're like, listen, that's hard to make jokes about when you're trying to be serial about it. And so at a certain point, but we love you, Wesley. We know you're trying to warn us. We know
don't
you're
love
trying
you.
to warn us.
Maybe take a rain check, Amy, if you
We're
want.
gonna go to Materialist Dan. I love you, Wesley. Maybe tag us in chat and we'll show things up on chat.
You're not
I don't
allowed
know.
on. If you're not allowed on Amy's channel, you did something really bad because we let frickin' Bubblegum Gun come here. So I mean,
Well,
and
don't-
Sunflower.
Don't be mean to him, Leo. We're trying to. He's mentally.
I can't help it. Like
has
he just
issues,
he
you know?
asks
I
for it.
know.
He says the dumbest
Well,
shit.
he does, but he does it from
is-
he does it from a place of mental illness. I don't think he's trying to be.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Wesley. I'm talking about Bubblegum Gun.
Yeah, Bubbles.
Yeah, but also
He makes it
once
very
again,
hard to be nice to him. He really does.
but
Yeah,
once
it's like
again,
John Maddox. He just
if we're trying to find sane people and we're talking, remember, Bubblegum Gun was the guy trying to convince us that during the Vietnam War that gnomes would steal clothing from children and soldiers. So
Right.
just
Yeah, and he does
then
the
Like
thing
their
that
underwear?
dogs and
It's,
wolves are related to
I-
each other.
that's
You're trying
right.
to find
Amy,
sane
are you
people.
saying you've never met the underwear thieving gnomes?
Underwear names.
Done. It's
Where's your
time
Ouija
to
board,
go
Amy?
find them. I know.
Yeah,
I need to
step
use the
1,
Ouija
steal
board.
underwear. Step 2,
Profit.
step 3, profit.
Speaking of which, at least that's my transitionary statement.
Everything
for,
always comes back to South Park.
Falls on chin.
It does.
Nah.
Hey,
Also, I forgot to
Jingle!
say, sending love also to Beamsy out there, because it's all hosting, but also Materialist Dan. We are Midnight Ranting.
Physicalist
Is
Dan.
society better off without religion?
Well, my opinion on Vietnam gnomes is that no, I'm just playing. But yeah, I agree a lot with what Leo's saying, that this is complicated. I think the debate tonight was two people talking past each other, because Jung was coming from an idealist perspective, and obviously T-Jump was coming from a physicalist. And so, like, obviously T-Jump's correct in that the material comes first, like saying there were ape societies before there were human societies. I mean, I feel like we can just agree that that's a fact. But I feel like if we have this idea that without religion we'd be better off, we're kind of giving into the idealist idea that these concepts come first. That you know what I mean, when there's really a dialectical relationship between them. And so I think the best thing we could hope for is that we could create material conditions in society where people would no longer be vulnerable to religion thriving, and we could hope that people would just no longer want religion. I think that's the best we could hope for with society without religion being a thing. But like right now, if religion just disappeared, I think a large portion of society would be worse off because of coping mechanisms or community or whatever. But that being said, like T-Jump was, I actually didn't really like a lot of T-Jump's arguments, but like he's right that like when we don't look at these things as like a fixed thing, they're just tools that evolve with society and go back and forth between cultural changes. So I mean I think T-Jump was correct. I just think he also ignored the relationship that ideas have back and forth. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling or ranting, which is appropriate. That's all.
Well, I was gonna say you absolutely came to the right channel
place.
to rant.
Yeah.
But thank you so very much, Materialist Dan.
Thanks,
With
Dan.
that,
Good to have you on.
we are going to open up the girl deck.
A full deck.
We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion?
Okay, so first off, I'm wearing the hood because like I haven't shaved my head in a while, so I'm covering up like the stubble that I've got. And secondly, I'd like to Leo.
I think you're wearing it better though.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's the headphones. It gives me like nice wide kind of flaring dignity.
Yeah, mine keeps flopping.
You need to widen your beard there, or your mustache there, Randolph.
Oh, yeah,
maybe one of those handlebars. Yeah. Anyway, I want to address Leo because he said there's no way we can tell that without religion society would be better. And I get where you're coming from, that, hey, we don't know the outcome of taking something away kind of thing. I would like to suggest, though, along with T-Jump's argument, that we can see countries that have become much more irreligious over the years that are doing better in terms of productivity, happiness index, education, a lot of different metrics that we can actually... Literacy, sure. Just all of these metrics, like the Scandinavian countries and Japan, and just a whole bunch of countries.
But did the lack of religion cause that, or did that cause a lack of religion?
Exactly.
That's a good question. But I think both are relevant. So if a lack of religion caused it, yes. Then if it caused a lack of religion, then we would be better off without religion.
Perhaps. I mean, I don't think that religion caused it. I think that society is growing more irreligious as a result of their further democratization and liberalization. I don't think that democratization and liberalization are brought about by a lack of religiosity. I think they increase the lack of religiosity.
Well, wouldn't a lack of religion be a sign that country is doing well? So wouldn't it be better off without religion, because that would mean that it's doing better?
Well, I don't know if I would say lack of religiosity necessarily means a country's doing better. I mean, if there was a country where like religious people were just like being genocided, the religiosity is going to go down, but that doesn't necessarily mean...
Fair enough.
Yeah, like those aren't the metrics that we really use to judge if a country is doing well or not, like some of the ones you just said. But maybe the answer is more like a balance, not just totally having no religion or having like the Bible Belt. Maybe you can have countries that are secular, and I just think that you're never going to get rid of religion as long as humans are afraid of dying and afraid of not knowing what the afterlife is. I think you're always going to have some sort of made up myth about what happens after you die, and I don't think you can get rid of that.
I'd like to add a little bit to that. People are fearing those things and not educated with the necessary intellectual tool set to deal with those fears in a healthy manner. And so religion is there to fill the void and exploit and take over. And as long as we have better education, I think the impact of religion can be lessened greatly. I agree with you that we'll never be done with religion. There'll always be people that want to
better mental health services.
Yeah, I agree
I
with that
I would-
Randolph. The education is the antithesis of religion, and so I mean
I
that's the
wasn't saying it is.
Absolutely.
no. I just mean like in the countries that are more secular, I would say the primary thing that's different is they're better educated, which leads
But how
to
do we isolate that as like being
Yeah,
correlated with the
that
lack
would
of
be
religiosity?
difficult, yeah.
Well, here's a question. Do you think that religion is the cause of a lot of fear of death?
Well,
Me?
could I ask before that? Could I
Well,
highlight an
anybody. I mean,
I
I'm
don't
putting
think
it to the
so.
panel.
I don't think so. I think it's a perceived solution to that fear. I think the fear of death is innate in being human and being, a living organism. We all die. So
Yeah.
So
Well, the
could I
reason
just
I
pose
asked
a
that is
different
there are a
side
lot of
with-
religious people that do fear death because of the hell concept. So I just wanted to sort of put that out as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry,
See,
Stilett, go ahead, mate.
No, it's fine. I just think this highlights a very important topic of like borderline ableism, almost because you were talking about intellect could solve like grief, because like we have it on books that like trauma and grief and sadness can cause one's heart to fail, and so like emotions are a very powerful, healthy tool. And what I do hear you saying, if I could get, if anyone could deny, I'd love that. But you're saying that like intellect can solve this emotional problem, and that's where I think metaphysics and the afterlife and all these are important things, because grief and trauma are like real responses, human responses, regardless of whether they're intellectual or not.
Sure.
And intellect doesn't always solve that.
I'm not
Well,
sure
what do we
that
mean
we're
by
talking
intellect?
About intellect. Yeah. So
Actually,
when
I
we talk
would-
about education, we're not talking about intellect like intelligence. We're just talking about knowledge of how things
critical thinking
work.
skills.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right,
The critical
so-
thinking
and-
skills,
and
because the
I guess you could say emotional intelligence, if that's what you're sort of referring to. Emotional intellect, maybe.
Well, I was saying that we also could have better mental health and therapy services to
Right.
help deal with some of these. It doesn't have to be one or the other, but having better behavioral patterns that you can develop in people, like I think cognitive behavioral therapy is what they call it, to deal with these type of fears. But I think the thing about hell is that it's almost kind of a catch-22, right? Because if you believe in the religion, then you believe hell exists, and you're gonna want to like be saved or whatever to not go to hell. But if you didn't believe in Christianity, then you would think that hell doesn't exist. I don't know. I think I just confused myself.
well,
I do it
what
all
I
the
would
time,
say
don't
is
worry.
No,
that-
I
That's why I
think we
said
get
him.
what
what
you
I would
mean.
That's
say is
why I
like
said in my
when we're
opening, I
talking
think-
about
Okay.
education, we're talking about giving people a more rounded view of things, right? Because when you grow up in a religious environment or poor environment or a very traumatic environment, you're given one way of thinking or seeing things, and that doesn't matter how intelligent you are naturally. Like when you're only taught to see things one way, you can't learn new things very easily, which is what intelligence is, right? It restricts it environmentally, and so when people are given a more well-rounded view, I mean, it's healthier, right? They're able to solve problems because they have more things available.
Well, some people that have a religious upbringing are just flat out taught wrong things, like
Yeah.
the creationism, like homeschooling stuff,
Hmm.
So obviously that could be improved.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's why I said in my
I
opening.
don't think any of us are for
religion-
mandatory like atheism. We're all
No,
we're all
definitely.
just thinking with better education, it will gradually wither. Will it ever go
Yes.
down to absolute zero? Probably not, but it will be greatly diminished from whatever impact it has today, as it has been diminished from what it had in the past. So
No, I think the Vanguard party has to take over before we get rid of religion.
What?
I think
I'm
Stilett
just
would have
joking. Just joking.
wanted to say something as well. I wouldn't mind sort of saying something after Stilett if you want to
go
go,
ahead,
mate.
Stella.
Yeah, I just want to point out that's why I said in my intro that metaphysics is in a whole different field of questions, and all the great physicists will tell you like they're not even in the job of questioning why or souls or these like metaphysical questions. So like we don't even those topics aren't in our field because you can't measure them. And so metaphysics, which is what leads to religion, is something that people innately question, and physics will never have answers for those.
Wait,
So
how does
they're
metaphysics
educated.
lead to religion?
Yeah, I was just
Because
about
religions are always involved with either morality, souls, which is consciousness.
Well, morality is a separate field from metaphysics. Ethics and metaphysics wouldn't be considered the same field by
Well, like
philosophers.
Platonism and absolute and objective.
Yeah, but those are topics
morality is all
in
metaphysical
metaphysics.
too.
Is like,
Yeah.
do like things like concepts, are concepts like, do they actually exist in the world or not? Like, yeah, Platonism versus nominalism.
Correct. And people may not have the names for these beliefs that they have, but a lot of it comes from a sense of self or a sense of greater consciousness, like whether it be a god, a deity, or their spirits interacting with another loved one's spirits in another life. Like, so sorry, I am outside. That was a motorcycle.
That's
and
okay.
it's just a strong urge
Vroom,
to, like, to know what it means to have a
We lose.
relationship with someone, and to know that you could have that exist again just seems inerrant to some people.
Yeah, I
Well,
also
there's
wanna-
always going to be gaps in our knowledge. But go ahead.
Well, sure. Yeah, I want to first off push back against Beams here. Something I forgot he said. He said that like religion is almost gone in Australia, and that's not true. The no religion is quite high. It's sort of about 41% or something. But that means 60% of people are still theist. It's not gone. Like, there's no way. That means we're a secular country, but still it's not gone. And the whole thing that you've sort of been describing, I don't see why philosophy can't address it the same. Why it has to necessarily lead to religion. I totally agree that it can lead to religion. Like, studying metaphysics can lead to a religious explanation of it, but it can also lead to a philosophical explanation.
Most philosophers are atheists and naturalists and physicalists, and yet still moral realists. It's funny how that works out. But you can't have objective morals without God, guys. Can't happen.
Well,
But I think what you
that's
just said,
basically
Mark.
what it said, but yeah.
Also, I have a question from the Twitchosphere. Thank you so very much, Micah, for sending this in.
That
Wants to
sounds
know.
too close to itchosphere, which is a
Right.
rather off-putting term.
No.
Or just, I guess, wondering how familiar everyone is with dominionism.
Not a fan of it.
Heard the word,
Not a
don't know
fan.
what it means.
It's basically
that's the
Christian
word.
nationalism.
Dominion theology is a group of Christian political ideologies that seek to institute a nation which is governed by Christians.
The
And based on their
Handmaid's Tale.
understandings
Gotcha.
of biblical law.
Yeah.
There was
So
I-
fascist.
They're trying that right now in the United States.
Yes,
or
so
in,
that's
like,
just
in
it's
Texas
like this
anyway.
fascism is really what this is, just fascism with extra steps.
Yeah,
It's
and
a theocracy.
it's not at all a new movement in America either.
Just sounds like slavery with extra steps. Oh, someone's going to get laid in college. Shout out to Rick and Morty.
My understanding of it was that it was more in an environmental context, that you're free to suppress the environment, that that God's never going to God's going to preserve us regardless of how much harm we do to the environment, how much we trash the earth. I
We
always
already
thought
know
of it in
what's
that
gonna happen.
context.
Yeah, we already
but
know
they-
what the end is going to be. It's not
Yeah,
Yeah,
humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They explicitly promote like taking power in governments. So that's like a direct agenda.
Well, yeah, but like, do you guys think these people are doing this because God, or do you think they're doing this because societies are rapidly changing in ways that are no longer toward the preservation of the power and privilege this group of people that happens to believe in this religion used to hold? See, I don't think what we're seeing from the religious right, the evangelical conservatives, at least here in the United States, is because of their religion. I think that religion is a tool they're using to justify the ways in which they're reacting to broader social change, because they're losing their power and privilege. This is sort of, I've often described it as what we're seeing in the United States, at least with respect to the United States, is sort of the last dying breath of the beast that is American evangelical conservatism.
I think some of the politicians are legitimately like Bible thumpers, but I think a lot of them are opportunists, because if you look at the majority of American voters,
true.
like a lot of them are going to vote for a candidate that is religious. So if you're a Republican, like we saw this when Trump was trying to get elected, you you saw how everybody knows Trump isn't like a Christian, but he totally started appealing to
The veneer of religion.
the Bible believers and doing the prayers like when he was president, like they had the pictures of him praying in the Oval Office and all that crap, and people ate it up, like they totally bought it,
I gotta be honest, I don't think people supported him because he feigned religiosity. I think they voted for him because he's a bigot just like they are.
Well, I think tonight P.F. Young actually really demonstrated what you're talking about, Leo, where Christians don't really, or at least not Christians generally, but the ones promoting it, right? They're no longer trying to defend the truth claims. They're trying to defend the utility, or like to basically tell people, hey, like we don't. They don't want to defend it whether or not it's true anymore. They're
topic of the debate. Be fair, like it wasn't a topic of does God exist, and he was debating.
No, but that's a thing. That's a common theme with the Jungian way. Like that's what Jordan Peterson does.
I did notice that guy was seeming to make some Jordan Peterson style arguments.
Yeah, because they're getting it from the same source.
Oh, he's definitely inspired by him on his channel.
Yeah, and so they talk about when they say truth is about utility, they're saying it doesn't actually matter what's true. It matters what helps me get my desired outcome. And that's how Christians view it.
Also, I just have to say, not inspiring philosophy, you're saying inspiring Peterson. It's the new channel.
William Lane Craig said essentially the same thing recently. He went on about practical justification for God, not epistemological justification. So he's basically saying, hey, because it gives me something, I'm going to believe it, which is crazy to hear the vanguard of Christian philosophy, William Lane Craig, basically say, yeah, it's because I want it to be true because it gives me stuff. That's crazy.
He also mentioned Pascal's wager as being.
Yeah, he brought up Pascal's wager, which is terrible. I mean, that's one you shouldn't use. But this Dominion theology is actually pretty scary. These three tenets. Dominionists celebrate Christian nationalism in that they believe the United States once was and should be again a Christian nation. In this way, they deny the Enlightenment roots of American democracy. Dominionists promote religious supremacy insofar as they generally do not respect the equality of the other religions or even other versions of Christianity. Dominionists endorse
what's funny?
Yes. And I'll let you say this, Leo, but I was joking, non-joking. It's like they read The Handmaid's Tale, and they're like, wow, we could make this work. But yes, all you, Leo.
I'm assuming that Craig kind of just pulled the term practical justification out of his ass, because I just Googled it, and I'm not really finding anything here. So
yeah, and by the way,
did I play devil's advocate for that argument, though?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm a pragmatist, and I've seen some discussions about like free will, and the way I sort of look at it is it may not actually be true that people have free will, but as long as I can live my life and have the appearance that I do have free will, that's good enough for me, and that's good enough to get the desired outcome that I want, because that's all that I need. So I don't, even if it's not true, it still works.
I think I think everybody would say that even if it's not true, we have to operate as if it is for various reasons. So
yeah. And the thing about truth,
I don't believe it is real, but we still have to operate as if it was.
That goes back
you don't
to
believe what's real?
Free will.
Free will. And can I play the semantic game? Just I'll throw it out there. I always say it's the free of free will that I always have a problem with, because we talk about will, not Will Smith in a slap, but will as in like the difference between walking through a door and someone pushing you through the door. And we can kind of understand those two from a legal and moralistic framework without understanding that or with acknowledging that like on a philosophical and even physical level, it's very deterministic. We can separate all that out.
But that gives rise to the joke that, I must acknowledge that I have free will because I have no choice.
That's right. That's the
Can I,
famous
yeah.
Christopher Hitchens line.
Yeah, Christopher
Also, I
Hitchens.
don't think like all of the mental content that we have being furnished by physical processes somehow means we don't have free will.
Yeah,
I
I wasn't
agree.
saying
I
that we
And
don't
I-
or that I don't believe
I-
it. I was just saying I don't know.
But to
Or that-
address
think we have
AJ's comment, like I'm a consequentialist, so like the ends do justify the means in my ethical system. But my
Wait,
framework,
hold on. That's Machiavellianism, not consequentialism.
what do you mean?
Yeah,
I don't know
Like-
what those mean.
the ends justify the means is Machiavelli, that the prince. That
Well, I mean,
it's-
I don't. So, yeah, I'm using that kind of as like the ends do
He's just
justify.
calling
I'm
it
not
different.
saying that as a
Also, I
prescriptive.
have
yeah,
to
I'm
just put in one asterisk. It is also a single bloodline of vampires in Vampire the Masquerade. But we'll just
Wait, what is?
keep on talking.
But the thing is like I just we like my set of values in most of us, I would say our ethical framework leads to the conclusion that truth is valuable for pragmatic reasons, right? And I'm
Yeah,
saying
My moral
his
system doesn't
his
lead to
framework. Oh,
My
Is it
epistemics,
just
well,
doesn't
because
matter?
I consider like valuing the truth and the things like we
yeah, I'll
ought
agree.
to accept rational arguments. I would consider those epistemic norms, but I personally I would not consider those ethical norms.
That's fair. Yeah, and but my point is we would probably come to the conclusion that truth is valuable, and my point is what PF was saying in the chat is, and this is common among people of his mindset, that truth like doesn't have any value to them, right? Like he literally said it. Truth is what is useful, right, or what has utility. So like it's not even there's no value to truth in their framework. Where to me, like truth sometimes isn't valuable to me. Like if a lie produces a better consequence, then I think the lie is more ethical, or however you want to put it. But like
More
to
useful.
him, to him, yeah, he's not even like it's there's a set idea, and anyway,
I would
we-
agree with what
we
you're
don't
saying.
value it.
Yeah, I would agree. I
I
think
wouldn't
that
call it more ethical. I wouldn't call it more ethical, though. I think it would be more effective, more useful, but that doesn't
I mean,
necessarily make.
No, I
it
just
more-
mean that from our framework, we would find a problem, I think, misrepresenting studies and facts and stuff. For most of us, like secular humanists, we're all pretty close, I would say, ethically, those atheists. We usually we don't, when we lie or something, there's a justification that doesn't we wouldn't find a justification in misrepresent a study, right? Because that's not going
like
to be
intellectual honesty.
But like in the long term, we know that the consequence of lying or misrepresenting studies in everything is harmful. I'm saying
But
from
that's
his framework
different
that doesn't
than
matter.
telling like white lies in your personal life, though.
Yeah,
That-
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Lies
distinction.
And my
between that.
point is, so he if he misrepresents a study, and doesn't value truth, then he doesn't see a problem with that. If it still convinces someone that he's right and leads them down the path he wants, that's the view he's coming from. Is that it doesn't matter if he's lying to you. If
Well,
produces
he could be
correct
misrepresenting
consequences.
it, thinking that he's telling the truth. And
Well,
that
no,
he-
but when you view truth as just utility, like that literally is the way you have to view it, because it's about what leads to the outcome you want. Truth itself has no actual value. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm getting a little meta, so I
Well,
apologize.
that's when you have to get into
it's
like,
a little
is somebody actually lying, or do they think what they're saying is representing the source honestly, or are they actually?
Well, he's not
bullshitting?
lying, right? Because he's telling the
We're-
truth.
we're talking
because
about
he's
William
telling
Lane
what's
Craig?
utility.
Are we still
From his
talking
view.
about him?
No,
We're
I mean
talking
from
about
P.F. Young,
Jordan
like
Peterson.
like he's not
Okay.
lying, right? When he
That's what I'm
lies,
saying.
he's not lying in his
I
view.
look at the truth as a tool in order to provide utility. For instance, does it contribute to overall well-being for the individual or society, kind of thing? And in the most part, we know. And I agree with you, Dan. I think that lying overall is very bad for society, but there are instances where it's very beneficial to well-being. Like they use the example of if you're in Nazi Germany and you've got a Nazi coming by, and if you tell the truth that there's a Jewish person in your home, that the Nazi will kill the Jewish person and you. it is then moral to lie. I think it does have moral value telling that lie at that point, because you are actually assisting the well-being of both yourself individually and the other person in the room, and also the country you live in general, because obviously the Nazis are very bad for your country's well-being.
That's like the beginning of Inglourious Bastards. But we're talking about Jordan Peterson, right? Because that guy completely lied about the Canadian bill C-16. And then afterwards, his Patreon was getting $50,000 like a month. So he totally benefited from lying about that.
Right.
And for people who are curious about that, just so you know, Canadian bills, the numbers get recycled. So there are different bill C-16s and whatnot. So I always suggest people mention the year as well. But this one's pretty clear.
Wait, you mean in Canada they don't give their legislative bills fancy clickbaity names they can run on the news every night to make it seem like they actually accomplished something?
Yes.
Man, you guys have it good up there, don't you?
The
Like
Conservative
the Inflation Reduction Act.
The Build Back Better, the tax jobs and cuts, or tax cuts and jobs. That's one of the best. Like, who names a bill? Anyway, I'm sorry, Randolph. Go ahead.
No problem. I just to clarify, because there is an issue that Jordan Peterson does create a lot of distortion on, so it's important to point this out. So what he read of the bill, I don't think he even read it. I think he heard from somebody else, and he took some talking.
It was a one-page bill.
Huh?
It was
And so if we examine whether or not he read the bill, what sorts of conclusions do you suppose we could come to?
And it was a redundant bill. That's the funniest
bill.
thing.
It never had used the word pronoun in it.
No, but that law was redundant.
That people being discriminated against or disparaged because of their pronouns on purpose as a form of harassment.
Not even because of pronouns. It just added gender identity to that list.
That's right. It basically validates
what that would
it
entail,
which is very important. And what he's done is he's completely misconstrued. Well, not completely, but he's very, very strongly misconstrued it as meaning that it's controlling our freedom of expression, which it is not doing. And he's claiming that if he doesn't use the pronouns properly, leaving out the part about the harassment aspect, that he could go to jail for that, which is also a lie. So, but it's appealing to a lot of the conservative authoritarian types who want their style of authoritarianism in power here in Canada, and they don't, and they see this pronouns as a threat to it. PragerU recently put out a Twitter posting about how pronouns in a person's bio in Twitter, in their Twitter profile,
it was a red flag.
Red flag. Yeah, red flag. You got it. You remember it. Yeah. And then, of course, the problem is they're using pronouns in their own Twitter profile.
Well, Randolph, I just want to let you know that this bill certainly attempted to limit our freedom of expression, you woke moralist.
Well, I have a response for you in an interesting voice. Peterson ain't right, I tell you what.
Nice.
Thank God would not like him.
Right? Why does his voice crack? Why does his voice crack all the time? He's a grown-ass man. His voice shouldn't crack.
That's probably from all the damn pills he's done in his life.
It's like
I shouldn't
sunflower,
say things.
you know?
Actually, he's from Alberta, and I've noticed there's quite a few people from Alberta who have that crackly sound in their voice. I'm not sure what it is.
Look, it's kind of hard to make, like, say he was lying, because he could have misconstrued it. If he's been told time and time again that he's wrong and still refuses to correct himself, then yeah, I'd say he's lying.
But the Canadian Bar Association came out and said that nothing in the bill would make anybody have compelled speech, because that was the phrase that Peterson kept talking about. All
such a law would be a violation of our Constitution here. Yeah.
Yeah. It just said that you can't like openly call people bigoted slurs in public based on their gender identity, or like, fire them because of their gender identity. It just added that to the list of things that you can't like fire people for, like their race or their sex.
I have no doubt that he was wrong. Now, just let me say this. I've got no doubt that he was
lying.
The problem I think that I have with Jordan Peterson is that I can't tell if he's lying or whether he has something in his head, and he's just so impressed with his own intellect that he won't actually question it in himself. You know, he won't actually.
I think
He sort of
it's both.
holds down on everything. You think it's
Yeah.
both? Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah.
I mean, I can't say in this instance if he was lying because I haven't seen the video or the interaction or what have you. But I certainly think I'm with AJ that not that you're necessarily denying this, Mark. I don't think you are, because I agree with you too. But I definitely think Peterson lies a lot. Like because to me lying implies intent. If you say something that's false but you actually genuinely did not know it was false, that's not a lie. That's not lying. You're just wrong.
Well,
and I try to
and
tell
he
that
should
to Angelo all the time. You're calling me a liar. No,
What if
you're
you
just
think
wrong.
it has utility? Then
You know,
maybe it's a good
this-
lie.
in Dr. Peterson's role, he should know better. He
That's what I'm
is a
saying.
university professor,
Right.
tenured. Well, he's retired from that, but he did not. He's not a law professor, but he's commenting on law, and someone who's working at that stature in academia should know better.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
yeah.
he's
I'm
a
sorry. Go ahead.
PhD. He's a PhD, which means obviously he knows how to do research. And this was a one-page bill. He obviously should have understood the bill better, and he clearly either didn't read it or did read it and misrepresented it. So either way,
Or-
I'm not sure which one is worse.
Or
I can tell that Atheist Junior has read it.
Or I think he just didn't care if it was true or not, right? Like he cared about drumming up controversy, like that's it. Like because
Peterson
when you
does.
listen to
To be
Jordan
fair, in
Peterson,
politics,
He just doesn't like trans people.
well, to get
I
This
think
is
that's
back to
correct.
the debate topic,
in
like
politics.
this is the thing about this worldview that's very religious. Like the PF Young and Jordan Peterson, they have ironically tonight like a religious worldview without the religion, right? And they well, I guess
Dogmatism.
PF Young is a Christian, but
Well, I think
The-
Peterson does have the religion. He's religious.
well, it depends on when you ask him what movie.
Do you guys remember he made
But-
a video recently, a message to Christian churches? I'm working on a response video to that where I'm going to be kind of mocking him, but in a subtle way.
Okay, I'll check it out. Response to Christian
the-
church.
In a Canadian way, is what you're trying
whenever
to
you
say.
watch an interview with Jordan Peterson, when you watch an interview with him and he is, asked about a lie or when he's called out or something, like he gives like a 5-minute speech to try to rationalize it into his worldview, right? And what the topic tonight, the problem was when and sorry, I'm having a hard time getting around to it, but T-Jump talking about what religion is, and P.F. Young's strategy tonight was basically, if I make religion, the definition of religion broad enough, then it definitely covers something that society can't do without, right? Like that's my point, is like they don't actually, they care about, like their brain is just looking for the pathway that can, like this is exactly how I felt as a missionary, right? This is how I felt as a religious person, was like truth was, I saw truth as something that I thought it was truth and it wasn't, right? The thing that I perceived as truth, like the word of God or whatever, revelation. You get what I'm saying? So like we're trying to talk to someone when their view of truth is like alien to us. I don't know. It just,
Well, that brings me on to something I did want to bring up at some point, and back on the debate. I really found his definition of religion to be ridiculous. Like, there seemed to be, you could apply it to almost anything that you metaphorically or figuratively call a religious. So, me liking movies and sitting down and watching them with pretzels is my religion, kind of thing. It kind of was this definition that could be anything at all. I didn't like it. I really didn't.
It's like how people say football is a religion, or that's like getting into a Ken Hovind argument.
We said
Going to a
anything with
place-
faith is a religion.
Going to
But it's
If you have
definition of
faith in
faith
your
is weird,
spouse,
too.
that's not
I hate that.
worshiping them.
I really
Yeah, it's
don't like
changing the context completely, isn't it? Like, but about things we didn't like about the debate. I only watched up till the end of the before the super chats. Did it go to that Jordan Peterson place of, you only you must believe in God, or because you don't kill and perform atrocious acts. Did it go there eventually?
He was a very deistic, metaphorical. I would say very inspired by Eastern philosophy. He calls himself P.F. Young because I think he is inspired by Jungian archetypes and that kind of stuff, which to me, like James and I were talking about earlier, it's like trying to pin Jello to a wall. And so the Abrahamic religions, it's like, well, we're talking about talking snakes. But when you go away from that, it's much harder.
Yeah. Well, it's linking it to truth. You guys were talking about how, in this context, sometimes that utility likes to be portrayed as a reflection of truth. The more utility it has, the more truthful it is, which is a real distortion of how we commonly use the term truth. But I think with Jung, it was like within our mythology. I think I'm probably going to really bastardize his take on it, but his thesis was that if the mythologies tell a type of truth that isn't conventional truth. To use a Jordan Peterson term, they're like hyper truths. The deepest truths we can get through is into our mythology, and by looking at mythology, that's how we identify the most important and most deepest truths. And I think Peterson's really linked that to Christianity, saying we can find the deepest truths and the most important truths within Christian mythology.
And see, I think what he's trying to explain, what he should be really giving lip service to, is just mythic structure in general, because that is just the story of man. I say sometimes gaining fire, but if we want to go as analogy and as metaphorically a metaphor as we can, it's us becoming an adult. It's us. You start out as your parents. You start out with your parents in this little nest. You eventually have to go out and explore. It's kind of scary. You meet new people. You face challenges. And then eventually, through facing all of these difficulties that were put in your way and meeting these new people, you become a master of both worlds, both at home and away. And you take your knowledge back to the people that you came from. And so that story should be useful. It's in Hollywood and your nearest bookshelf. And hopefully we'll continue to do it. I think we will. It's very, very successful in a secular manner. It's only the literal that I guess drives me crazy. Though I guess this is what we have. Like I said, I've seen Peterson have a 2-hour conversation with Matt Dillahunty about what the word truth is, and I'm pretty sure it was to talk about God.
Amy, I would like to read a quote from Jung on truth. So he said, "That is how we know the truth. The truth is that which helps us to live properly." So
that would not be my definition of truth. Yeah, I don't.
Terrible definition of truth. That makes truth a normative concept.
Well,
right. Carl Jung wasn't an analytic philosopher, and all that just means is that he's a fucking idiot.
He has 5 definitions of truth.
The whole problem with this is that when you're an idealist, you see the world this way, your concept of what is right is fixed, right? It can't change, right? Right? Because I mean, if you have a deontological view or God's word says what is true, right? It's fixed in your mind, and if the material facts contradict it, it can't be the idea that's wrong. It has to be the material facts, right? That's how your brain rationalize it. And so just reality is what's wrong, right?
I think there are many eclectic believers who change, and I've heard this as a constant over many people saying it all goes back to a dogma that can't be changed. And I firmly don't believe that's true, because we see many progressive Christians who are very happy lives in America, whether they be part of the LGBTQ or the African American community.
And
And so I
respectfully,
think
real
that
quick, they live in a
I think
constant state of cognitive dissonance. But anyway,
Yeah, I
so I'm saying,
do.
like,
Whether or not they
religions
do,
can
I
be
think they
changed.
can
Like, you can
change their beliefs.
you
I
can
think
There are
there's an
churches that
ideal.
accept those people, like churches that have women pastors. Like there are more progressive churches,
Right.
you could say.
and ones that accept gay people, you know,
That's
there
what
are
I'm
out there. I think that not
But at a
all
certain point,
And those
I
are
don't. I
ideals
don't
the
think.
are
I don't think
changed.
Stillette was
Christians
finished
who
making their
don't
point.
take the word the same way the original people had read the dogma. Therefore, the religion is evolving.
but at a certain point, why do we need to keep? If we have to change everything about it to make it palatable, why do we still need to hold on to it?
Well, is it being changed because it's being made palatable, or like is it changing
believe
because
it is,
society's changed? Well, I mean, but I could say the
it's
same
not
thing
more
about our
palatable
political
to society.
systems, our economic systems, like pretty much every cultural system that humans have, because they all change. Of course, humans are going to change them in ways that they feel improve the human condition.
Sure.
Largely,
The
we've
idea-
done that. I think that's just kind of a thing that we innately do. I don't think that's a point of either for or against religion.
A political
Yeah,
system
religion-
isn't absolute
religion-
truth. It's designed to change, or religion is something that's supposed to tell us
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying
fundamental
on a-
facts about the universe that if something is a fact today and well, it's not a fact tomorrow because we don't like it anymore, then why do we need that system?
and religion
Yeah,
is
what you guys are,
culturally.
sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. I'll be quick.
No, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Religion's a culturally adapted institution, right? It obviously changes. I'm saying on a personal level, when someone's raised to believe that this thing is true, and they hold it fixed in their mind, like that's how they interpret reality, right? But if we start with facts, like we're trying to say the ideas we hold are based on facts, they're not seeing it that way. That's all I'm trying to say. So it's on a personal level.
Yeah,
Because I used to be that way.
I agree with Leo because I think society moves forward and forces the religion or the religious people to sort of adapt to it as like
It forces that
social,
with all social systems. This was the
social
root
justice
of what Marx
causes.
called revolutions.
I kind of agree with both of you. I think Leo's got a good point that all things evolve, and it isn't necessarily the case that a church will adopt the values of the culture around it changing because of necessity. However, I think there are some religious institutions, some churches, some organizations that do change because of a need for survival within that society, and their views just will not survive the society changing, right? It just won't. I think it's a mixture of both, depending on which religion you're talking about, and I think it's very, very nuanced. Which is driving which kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world between whether it's a bad, whether on the idea of whether it's good for society or not, religion, in the sense that if it's adapting to how the moral progress and the scientific progress we're making, that's the key difference in it being bad for society or not. I mean, as you guys have mentioned, it's kind of it's really it's really kept us. It can be a force for real regression and staying in the past when we needlessly don't need to. At the same time, though, I mean, just to play devil's advocate for a moment, could it also be a repository in an Edmund Burkean kind of sense? What I mean by that is, we stand on the shoulders of giants historically and sort of create some sort of hesitancy or some reluctance to dispense with things that we've held onto for a long time and maybe of some value, and rather than dispensing of them, recklessly.
I think it could have some value. Undoubtedly, religion has some value, but the question is whether that value could be replaced by something that gives either more value or the same value without the negatives associated with it. Is my sort of thing. And just to clarify that thing that I said earlier about sometimes they move, you have to acknowledge that, say, during abolition of slavery in the United States, there was religious people and religious organizations on the abolitionist side, as well as against them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
There's actually a lot of northern Christian movements that really got the ball rolling on that, particularly the Quakers.
Exactly. So they were at the part of the forefront of the abolition, not resisting against it. So I think that shows that they can move with the times, if you will, without necessarily be on the lookout for their own survival. I just want to point that out. But I think that. Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, James.
No. Oh, no. Go. Oh, well, no. Just what I was going to say is, if it's in terms of it being, that's because it's so long been held as a moral authority. It's sort of like you had to argue from a spiritual perspective or a biblical perspective, at least to some degree, can get legitimacy on a moral level and make an argument. So it was kind of like, well, if you wanted to be on the abolitionist front, you had to frame that in an evangelical way because it wasn't going to be taken seriously otherwise. And I know that, being my time in the church and stuff, I knew it's going to sound a bit conceited, but I could usually debate somebody, or I could kind of overcome somebody on a debating level, basically because I could manipulate the text in a more sophisticated way than they could, basically.
Rhetorical skill.
Yeah.
I think it's very good to have rhetorical skill. I also think it's very good to be analytic and actually understand what you're talking about. You can listen to people that like have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, but are very skilled rhetorically. The example that should pop into everyone's head, Kent Hovind. Kent Hovind might not understand dick about shit or shit about dick, but he's pretty goddamn rhetorically skilled.
Yeah. It's I got told dishonest position.
So many debates, he's so experienced in it.
Well, I got told by Darth Dawkins I have the gift of the gab, apparently. So that's something.
Wow. Wait, the gift of the what?
That's projection.
Gab.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that's all Darth does.
Yeah, I know.
It's
project. Completely dishonest position. But if I'm living in the 19th century of the USA, or even in the early part of the 20th century, I'm going to be probably taking, in a civil rights sense or in an abolitionist sense, I'm going to be taking some. I'm going to be citing biblical authority because my chances of achieving my political objectives are going to be much greater if I do that. As dishonest as it is,
even if it might not be the objectively the best interpretation of Scripture, you still have to frame it.
No, not at all. Not at all. You can convince yourself it is. You can say, well, I know God, I've prayed and I've meditated.
Anti-slavery.
Yeah, you say, I've prayed and I've meditated on, and God, I know that God's heart isn't where this. I know God's heart enough to know that He wouldn't condone slavery. You could.
God has a heart.
Yeah, well, apparently.
I wonder what God's BPM is. You guys think it's like some crazy number, like 1,000 or like 15,000?
No, it'd have to be really slow, because He lives so long, right?
But think about how smart God is. He's omniscient. Think about the energy that takes.
God's heart very specifically goes at the rate of Rick Ashley's.
One Big Bang per Big Bang. That's God's heart rate.
I think
Big bangs per minute?
No, Big Bangs per Big Bang.
Oh, okay.
Oh. So his heart rate is 1, is what you're saying?
Yes, his heart rate, yes. Unitary heart rate.
It's also 46 apparently.
I hear that God is omniscient, but how does omniscience equate to intelligence? Because intelligence is
because omniscience is knowing all true propositions. And intelligence is usually going to be construed in terms of the knowledge that an agent has. So if God has all knowledge,
does that mean you would know all the winning lotto numbers?
Intelligence represents the ability to work things out. And
I don't. This is not what intelligence means in considerations of like God's omniscient. That we don't use some like functional, strict scientific usage of intelligence. Intelligence is going to be largely agential in this sense.
Okay.
Where you can't have.
But we're trying to insert it into philosophy. I don't see why we can't. But sorry, am I getting my science in your philosophy, Leo? I do apologize.
Well, no, it's just that the way that intelligence is being used here is just simply not the way that these people that are talking about these kinds of things are going to use it.
Yeah, obviously, but we can conjecture, right? We can throw it in there and say how.
I'm one of these types of people who talks about these things, and that's how I use it. And I know other people who talk about it this way as well.
Well, I just don't see then how it relates to God's omniscience, because that's not what intelligence means with respect to that. You're
Well,
just not.
I guess
You're
I'm
just not
taking
talking
issue
about
with-
it with respect to the topic.
I'm taking issue with the idea that all knowledge somehow is a full representation of intelligence. It's a part of it, but
I don't know what you mean by representation.
So I've got two.
intelligence.
I've got two answers to this, right? Either that God can understand, and so it's saying intelligence is the ability to assimilate knowledge, right? It's the ability to understand things, and how fast you can do that. So either God has infinite intelligence because he can understand anything.
Well, I don't think he's got
instantly.
infinite intelligence. I think he's maximum intelligent.
Or he has zero intelligence because he already knows things. There's nothing to assimilate, so he's not intelligent.
That could work.
That's what I was just thinking. He doesn't need to understand anything if he already knows all of it.
Well, but knowledge and understanding don't really mean the same thing.
But I wanted to ask Leo a
Understanding
question,
are
actually.
kind of different.
They are kind of different.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah, the comprehension and actually having it in your memory are two different things. Because people can memorize things that they don't understand.
Yeah,
You know what?
you can know something you don't understand.
It feels like right now we're like discussing whether Goku could punch through a universe or something. You know what I mean? Like it seems.
Hey, I have a question.
Well, I will say that's not too far from where the debate ended up. It was arguing over words, where it's almost like.
Right.
I'll also tell you the most annoying thing that I have come across lately. It was not this gentleman, but it was a presuppositionalist deist, and it was like. It was like if Jello could be an asshole, like all of the not fun of being a presupper,
Right.
and then not being able to define.
Ambiguity. Ambiguity.
Well, in
Speaking
fact,
of Jello, Amy, can you check the private chat? Somebody's saying it's cold outside.
it's cold outside.
Leo, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
I'm not sure
so
if
you
that's clear.
mentioned Karl Marx earlier. Did Karl Marx think? Who did he think was a bigger oppressor of people? Was it religion or was it the economic and political systems of the time?
Oh, the economic and political systems of the time. He would have said that they're largely utilizing religion as an engine to maintain their wealth and their power.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's, that's sort of what he meant when he said that religion is the opiate of the masses. Religion is what is used to, lull the masses back to sleep so that they are unaware of who is owning and controlling the societies that which they live in, and that they are the ones broadly building and contributing to.
And they also used religion as a justification for the aristocracy as well.
Yes,
That-
the biggest criticism Marx had, and he says the system that he criticized the most was that of class society.
Okay.
Yeah, he
All
didn't
right,
really.
guys, you got something to say here.
I do want to get. I'm sorry, Wilson in. But I will say also we have a half an hour more of open conversation before we go to outros. Once again, we can continue that conversation if you want in a second. Just want to add in for I'm sorry, Wilson. We are Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Welcome. What are your thoughts about the debate, the topic, or anything we've been talking about tonight?
I'm still trying to figure out how you can be a presupple.
Oh my God! Can I
issuance for a deist?
Can I tell you how annoying this is? And it comes
you
with
can do
all the Darth Docking trappings. Like, okay, so he will say that because the word God exists and the definition of the word God exists, therefore God exists. Not only that, but he separates God from reality as two different words, because if you say, well, Harry Potter that exists, right? He says, yeah, you just proved Harry Potter exists. You say, well, Santa Claus exists, right? He said, you just proved Santa Claus exists. And he will refuse to talk to any atheist about God being real until they admit that God exists. And the cherry on top is that they have a definition of atheism, which is the denial of the self-evident. It's a presuppositional deist that I came across. I'm trying to steelman them.
You should have
and
seen
they
the
are
guy
the-
that me and Mark talked to in the open mic I had on my channel the other day. That ultimate Christian, whatever his name was.
Oh, yeah, I know.
He
who
was a
you're talking
Christian, but yeah, oh my God, you couldn't say anything to him.
We're familiar with him.
Well, the point that I was trying to make is that like my ultimate like definition of like a deistic god comes from Lovecraft. You know, the grand creator of the universe, is a god. He exists.
Lovecraft was a racist, sir.
He was.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I thought someone
like-
was just going to say Cthulhu, because now we're starting to
John
understand.
No, like whoever said that, like Lovecraft is absolutely he was absolutely a racist and a xenophobe, and
Yeah.
he had a lot of problems. I can separate the art from the artist.
Yeah. And
The mythos,
maybe the xenophobia influenced some of his writing, like the weird old gods, the creatures that are from a totally different universe or wherever that we can't understand. That's sort of like xenophobia in a way.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Wilson.
Oh, I agree absolutely. Like Lovecraft was a absolute nut job.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just memeing.
I'm a huge fan of his work and the work that he made, creating the whole genre of cosmic horror. I don't want to hang out with the guy and like have lunch with him, because I would probably punch him in the face because he's a kind of a racist and a xenophobe.
Yeah, I still love Roman Polanski movies, so
Yeah, exactly.
I still at least attempt to solve for the Schrödinger equation, despite the fact that he diddled little girls.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I have a question.
That's kind of why he fled to France.
Debate topic.
Your local imam has entered chat. Oh, I got spicy.
No.
Oh gosh. But
No. But
going back to the. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. And I'll include the Catholic Church, because can't just pick on Islam. It's really religion. But I'm sorry, Wilson. We are talking, is society better off with religion? What are your thoughts?
It depends on the religion. I don't think that religion is a tool. I think it's the way that the tool is implemented.
So that's like the question I want to ask: is religion inherently anti-humanist, or can religion be humanist?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why it couldn't be humanist.
Yeah, there's
No, I don't think that religion is evil. I don't think that religion is wrong. I think it's the way that you implement it.
Yeah, I'm not an anti-theist myself.
I think the problem just comes in when the religions get so big and so powerful, and where the religion and the government or the politics become blurred. That's when problems really set in, or when you have leaders in the religion that just have too much power, too much access to kids who are at risk or vulnerable people, or just stuff like that. That's when it gets out of hand, I think.
Yeah, but would all those problems be a result of the system being religious, these institutions being entrenched in religion, or would it be more a result of like broader interests that the system has that, when carried out, seem to come more to the detriment of society?
I think
religion inherently has dogma where you have to listen to the authorities in the religion and not question it. So I do think,
it's hierarchical, of course.
Yeah, I would say that
happens
is
in like
right for
programs.
abuse.
I actually think the main problem is, and you're right, Leo, big organizations can have the same problems, but I think the problem with religion is the idea of who they're responsible to, who takes responsibility for them. The problem with religion is they're not responsible to the people. They're not even responsible to the government. They're responsible to God. So it falls upon God to rein them in, which doesn't happen.
That's not always true.
What do you mean? When's God reigned in a religion?
Well, no. When I say like a particular church, like their goal is not to serve the people; is to serve God.
Right.
See, I was going to say, in my personal cult, I had just had to go out and take out one of my followers who was being a dick. Fucking
So
Frank.
it used to be the law didn't apply to churches. They had their own church law, and that was how they governed themselves. They were basically a separate sort of area that had their own oversight. We've had to bring them into oversight by our secular organizations. But at the end of the day, they're not responsible to those secular organizations. They're responsible to a god.
Well,
the point that I was trying to make is that one of the pastors that is my close personal friend, he's always run his church is he protects the people of his church and their families. He serves the people, not necessarily God. That might be a little bit heretical. I don't know.
What is he protecting them from?
He looks out for them.
Okay.
From what?
I just quickly to touch on this a little bit a moment ago with something Atheist Junior also elaborated on. I'd like to just read this meme that I'm showing here. It talks about the 3 phases of Muslim immigration. Phase 1, few in number, oppressed Islam. They play the victim, claim Islamophobia, more tolerant than others. Phase 2, large minority. They're more indignant. They're threatening, demand Sharia law, intolerant of infidels. And then phase 3, clear majority, dominant in Islam, militant, strict Sharia law, kill, subdue all infidels. And it says for 1400 years, this pattern hasn't changed. Moderates are irrelevant. Now, this is something that we see is not exclusive to Islam. This seems to be with any kind of group, not necessarily religious groups either. So this is a kind of a social problem. People jockeying for position and trying to have their social group, however it's denominated, having more power and more advantage over others. And so religion is very well organized for this kind of thing. So we tend to see it more often with religious groups, I think. Yeah, thanks for making this full screen, Amy. I appreciate that.
Well, you're talking about radicalized religious groups. I'm talking about one.
But that's the excuse. The thing is, this is a human nature problem. This is a social issue, and we need to do things to combat this, to counter it, to try to make sure it doesn't get this way. And money, of course, plays an important role in this because money is a shortcut to getting power.
Class society.
I think Randolph is sort of suggesting that the outcome of a minority group in the religion is radicalism.
Oh yeah, I completely,
yeah.
I completely agree. It's the same thing that we see with the NIFB. It is a radicalized group of specifically Southern Baptists that they have a specific doctrine that they are going to stick to, and they are unwavering.
What's that, New Independent Fundamental Baptists or something like that?
Yeah, the Matt Powells, the Stephen Andersons.
Yeah. And they're loopy. They're crazy.
They are absolutely out of their heads, and they're trying to gain political power to where, what was the name of the channel? Skylar Fiction did an interview with Matt Powell on his particular political views. Skylar Fiction's channel got flagged and it got taken down for what Matt Powell was saying. Because Matt Powell is saying that, yeah, homosexuals should be, executed by the government.
Yeah.
And can I just say, and once again, literally, you can see, okay? Here is the armchair. I'm putting it right there, okay? But there is no way that Matt Powell does not like sucking big old D's, okay? I know that I shouldn't be saying that, but There's no way that gentleman does not like other gentlemen. Okay, there's no way he doesn't cuddle up with Ken Hovind like every night before bed.
Amy,
But
you better
whatever.
not. Amy, you better not bring up Matt Powell's lisp.
Oh,
So those
my.
extremists,
That's cute.
those extremists, when they get large groups of followers, it can become quite dangerous for society. They absolutely do not want the Star Trek future. They want to drag everybody back to older ways. This is why you hear them talk about ancient people having better ideas than what modern science has figured out. And it's all just trickery and trying to control people, and it's just so that they can get ahead, because they're not able to adapt so well to newer things. So they bring out the old and keep people hooked on it.
Yeah, this is the process of heralding back to some imagined cultural golden age as a means of creating a national or tribal identity in a group of people, whereby you can then mobilize them against other groups of people.
Yeah, it's very
straight
divisive.
out of the fascist playbook.
It's horrifically divisive.
I actually got into an argument with a certain radical theist when he tried to tell me that in the Star Trek universe, the Federation was not socialist.
How did they figure that?
I can't comment.
No, yeah, I'm interested. How'd they figure?
He tried to claim that the Federation had currency in the means of gold pressed latinum. I'm like, no,
yeah,
that's
a Ferengi. That's a Ferengi thing. Anyway,
that was like the galactic currency.
James, you could feel it. You could feel the geek come out of you. That is the exact kind of emotion we want.
Like, what was the currency on Earth?
I think they want
there was no currency on
turn
Earth.
into like a galactic Ferenginar. Like
they had because the Federation was going into areas that they didn't have designation, official designation. They had to deal with other political entities that had currency. So
also,
they had to trade with others. They had to trade with other species, but on Earth we did not have a currency.
But also, socialism can have a market system like with currency.
Yeah, that's like Leo. You're a socialist, but you still use money. You still participate in a society that uses money. You fucking hypocrite.
You can, yes, but socialism is merely a transitory between capitalism and communism. Yeah. The ultimate goal of the socialist is the full decommodification of not just the broader economy, but of labor itself.
Yeah, I don't understand really. I mean, the goal is a moneyless, classless society, right?
Well, to the extent, once the theory is one, and maybe Leo can correct me, but when you put socialism in place, the theory is that the state becomes redundant.
Yes.
I mean, replicators.
As we further democratize our societies and we eliminate the hierarchies that we currently live under, we will begin to be capable of living without those hierarchies, at which point they become redundant and are eliminated.
So you would have societies or communal societies where everybody contributes something, and that way you would eliminate the need for an exchange of money because everybody contributes what they can.
Well,
we're talking about a world that has replicators.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I don't know what replicators.
I'm just talking about the concept. I wasn't talking about Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot off anyway. I'm going to shoot off, guys. Thanks for the chat. Good night, James.
Thanks, James.
Thanks a lot for chatting.
It was lovely having you on, James. Ooh, and in fact, this is basically on the dot, the 15-minute mark. So if you guys have questions, comments for each other, the panel, tacos, now is the time to kind of like that picture with the ghost. We are talking, is society better off without religion? We should do a podcast that we have to do. Ghosts, Scientology, Hinduism. We got
I love Scientology.
No, he's not.
Scientology.
Yeah.
Scientology is so fucking boring. Why does anybody? What? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't. It's so boring.
That's how it was.
It was made up by a fucking failed science fiction author.
What I hear, think about all theology. Like theological discussions are so fucking boring. And it's just running all around the fucking dog park, through the maze and over the hill and over yonder and back around and over and to and fro and come about and everything else, because they can just reinterpret everything. You can't pin them down on anything. You're just chasing them. They're just fucking useless discussions. I don't know why people have them.
Have you ever read Battlefield Earth?
No.
It is an awful fucking book. It is terrible.
It can't be worse than the movie.
What I said, but sure.
Scientology is only interesting because it looked at all the cults in the world and said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, it's absolutely a cult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could I pose one more question for the topic?
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would just like to ask, with as far as would society be better off with religion, would the atheist or materialist in the room be willing to confidently say that you would have physical answers to nihilism and the problem where if you take skepticism to its logical end, you get to hard solipsism? And solipsism and nihilism can both be detrimental to certain people's
I can't be a nihilist. It's so exhausting.
One question.
Well, I don't assert any of those, so I don't know why I would need to account for them.
I don't think that the end result of skepticism is nihilism. I think that's a slippery slope fallacy that you're doing there. That you have
hard solipsism.
Hard solipsism.
Which is generally considered like the end of like skepticism taken to its most extreme, is that you would be skeptical of the fact that you exist.
Yeah,
also,
that's skepticism.
For me, I think all value judgments are subjective, and I think nihilism is like the hard problem of consciousness. I think it's like,
wait, what? Hold on.
It's something I regard as like not being like it's just not something I regard as an actual.
Well, nihilism isn't a problem. It's a belief. It's like a belief system. Like I don't.
No, that's my point. Like it's something.
We are nihilists, Lebowski.
So it's not the absence of meaning, right? Like nihilism isn't. Oh, I guess there's no like meaning to everything. Now I'm a nihilist. Nihilist is like.
It's the lack of caring.
Well, it's more that there is no objective meaning or purpose to anything.
Yeah, but you embrace that as things are meaningless and therefore. But
well, objectively meaningless.
You think that traditional values and beliefs are unfounded and that basically life is meaningless.
And my point is that like it's just like nihilism isn't the like place you land when you say there's no objective. Like
I have never heard someone not buying Manic Panic and Hot Topic say they weren't a nihilist. No.
That must be exhausting.
I don't know why nihilism and atheism are consistently conflated when they're not the same thing.
It's
like people who conflate naturalism and atheism when I know people who are atheists who believe in supernatural things. Like it blows my mind.
Or don't believe in the Big Bang.
I also think that there is this feeling that you get so attached to this second life. This is why I think the fear of death is such getting rid of the fear of death is such an actual horrible thing that lost my train of thought for a second because I thought about 9/11. Nihilism. No, I'll let you go, AJ.
Okay, I just wanted to say that Leo, the way you feel about theistic discussions, theological discussions. That's how I feel about these discussions about philosophy and like hard solipsism and shit. I just think they're so fucking useless. I really don't.
Well, I don't talk about hard solipsism, but I think like the discussions that are had on like ethics and morality and like broader philosophy of religion and philosophy of science are certainly meaningful discussions.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
that's philosophy.
Like, do we actually exist, or like? I don't know if I'm explaining.
Well, that's not really philosophy so much as like just sophism at that point.
I also remember my point. I just want to say because they feel like they were going to have this second life when they figure out that they aren't. They go, well, holy moly, what was life even worth living for to begin with? And it's generally, well, you weren't due a second life. This was the only life you were actually gonna have.
It doesn't go on forever. It's useless.
Exactly. And the other point I would say against a nihilistic viewpoint is that you could take all of the really what I would say either sad, but like the fact that there's going to be a heat death. Someday everything will be torn apart. It's in like a Googleplex years. There is so much that we can actually accomplish and do and achieve. And there's so much that we can actually just do cooperating and coming together that I feel that there's a good case as a skeptic, as an agnostic, an atheist, no matter what your political affiliation, on a personal level, to not be a nihilist. So,
well, I think the problem is that just because life is finite doesn't mean that it's meaningless. Like, it still has meaning, and therefore we're not nihilists because it has some sort of meaning and purpose.
Well, that's why I dislike when theists say that you can't have meaning if you're not a Christian or not religious. You know, I reject that because we can create our own meaning. But I remember when I was in like elementary school, and I learned that eventually the sun is going to turn into a red giant and consume the earth. That was so depressing. Dude. I was depressed for like a week.
I can completely be sympathetic to that. There will one day be a time there will be all of our books and our all of the things we've ever made.
Well,
I think that's the fact that in the end, none of it really will mean anything.
Well,
but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything to us.
Right.
It's this whole. It's like what William Lane Craig says. Well, but in the grand scheme of things, yeah, but we don't live in the grand scheme of things. Nobody gives a fuck about the grand scheme of things. Why does it matter?
It doesn't mean we shouldn't take care of our planet and the environment.
I think it's egotistical to say nobody cares about the grand plan. I think that's.
I think that most people are significantly more concerned with their day-to-day lives and living them and getting what they need than they are with, oh no, we only have 4 more billion years before the Earth.
Well, that was my point.
That's not what people are doing. They don't care about the grand scheme of things because they don't live in the grand scheme of things.
And I think
it's more about the journey. I just want to say one thing is that, like Leo was saying, 4.5 billion years, it really is about the journey and not, that's why we really shouldn't be focusing on the end. It would be like saying, well, why get on a roller coaster? You're going to get off it eventually, because that's true with everything. And you can always push it back. You could say, well, the sun's going to red giant. So maybe not only could push it back, but you could keep on doing something almost nihilistically sad and then something optimistically hopeful. You could say the sun is going to red giant in 4.5 billion years. So maybe we will head to Europa. But eventually, the solar system's going to break apart. Right. Maybe we'll head out to another. You can keep on doing this forever.
Andromeda's going to collide with our galaxy.
Exactly. And you could...
Yeah, humans will probably never live off the planet Earth.
But listen, we could.
Thank you, Leo. For that.
Well, of course it's possible. The chances of it happening are not high at all. I don't think people realize how sensitive we are to specifically the gravity on Earth. Our atmosphere, its composition. I mean, I could sit here for hours and talk about the factors. Space is not a kind place for any
radiation,
except maybe tardigrades, but that's still only like low Earth orbit.
Piggyback on that is that one of the things. We think that we would solve the Fermi paradox. We're always like, why is it so quiet out there? If only the other species were like us, they would have solved it. But we kind of disregard that we ourselves do not solve we are not a spacefaring civilization that could solve the Fermi paradox for other civilizations. So we are actually not the bar. It has to be a species way not smarter, but way more technologically advanced.
I blame religion.
I don't even blame religion. I blame a lot of anti-science.
Yeah, the problem is
there you go.
A lot of that's based on religion.
chances of finding an exoplanet is remarkably tiny, right? I totally agree with you that we could live on. However, the chances are so there's so many chances out there that there's good chance we could live somewhere. The problem is bridging that distance to them.
Because
Yeah, that's why we'll never live someplace else.
We just need
What
misfits
are
to
the
guide us.
chances of finding sexy aliens?
Probably reasonably high. I would reckon that if there
Have you
are
never seen a
beings out
sci-fi
there
movie?
as or more intelligent or developed as humans, they probably look quite similar to us.
We'll see.
What?
Could I
How do we
say-
define sexy human? Like sexy
That is
alien?
very.
Are we talking about like Felix? Or are we talking about like the green woman from Star Trek?
If they have big jugs like in the girl in Total
Big
Recall.
fat
Yeah,
mama
you gotta have
milkers.
three.
What you talking about?
She was a human, but she was a mutant.
But I'll tell
Correct.
you what's interesting
Hey, man, I
about
don't care.
that. Look, if it got big
Maybe
jugs,
Michelle.
it could go one of two ways. Either they're going to be so different that us and like insects and algae would all look at each other and go, damn, we look alike. Or there's going to be some sort of convergent evolution in which sentience kind of narrows down certain things. I mean, clearly it doesn't. I don't know if it has to have thumbs because, you know, dolphins
Probably,
have
yeah.
it. You think so? But there has to be certain.
For
There
tool
definitely
making
is
and tool using,
certain-
yeah.
There's definitely
Okay, so
certain things that
dudes in the room, who is gonna fucking fuck a xenomorph?
I volunteer as tribute.
Well, that depends. Did it provide informed affirmative consent, and does it have a vagina?
Do you know what a xenomorph is?
No.
An alien. The alien.
From the alien series.
Listen, I like. There was two categories. It was consent and no homo.
Well, I think that a facehugger implanting eggs in you is a form of fucking. So yes, anybody
Yeah, I mean,
that-
it would rape you first.
Well, who's gonna make the eggs?
You are the egg.
Well, I've got a pretty good size omelet. I mean, or
my.
omelet
You know,
pan.
Well, hey,
skillet, so I can
If
make
you're,
an egg.
if you're gonna make a loaf of bread, there has to be a baker.
I actually wanted to real quick go back to Stillet's other question about skepticism. I don't know. I guess everyone's understood that, but
And it'll actually. So that will be the last
There you go,
question,
Jeffrey.
and
Okay.
back and forth, and then when we're done that, we're going to outros.
I just with skepticism, it's kind of like you just have to accept that regardless of the ontological truth of reality, your interaction with it and understanding of it is like your only ability to survive, and like you know what I mean. So like you have to presuppose certain things out of necessity, and we can presuppose enough things out of necessity to disregard things like solipsism or like because like even if it's true, it's not useful. And this is a situation where that matters because we can't access the ontological truth. So it's what's the word? It's irregardless of how we act because we can't access the ontology. You know what I'm saying? Like, so skepticism.
That's not a word.
I don't know if I was using a
I
word.
get what you mean. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to express myself as best I can.
Well, I always have a hard
purposes.
time with regardless and irregardless.
Yeah, but my point is like it doesn't matter what the ontological truth of reality is if our only like if our ability to interact is limited to like our experiences, and so like skepticism has to have a bottom floor of saying like we can't go any lower than this, and we have to assume these things out of necessity, and then that's your starting point. And from there, you
That
can.
sounds arbitrary.
What was that? Sorry.
Maybe.
That sounds arbitrary for skepticism.
Well, I mean, it's
Well,
not
I think he's
arbitrary.
saying it's for any system of thought. Any system of thought has axioms.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
There's a
Like
base
we
level,
have to
a
like
minimum.
we have to assume, you know, I think therefore I am. We have to assume laws of logic are you know, as true as they can
We don't really assume those, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, I mean, to even have a conversation, we have to presuppose them. Yeah. And so like certain things have to we just it's necessary for us to And this is the annoying thing about pre-suppers is they act like God is
Oh
necessary.
yeah,
but
well,
like,
what is your necessary foundation for that?
right, exactly. There's like no necessity for God because God is a sum zero in the equation of everything we know. You pull it out of the equation and nothing changes. You put it in, nothing changes. And so
And with that, we are moving into our midnight ranting outros. We have been talking, is society better off without religion? It has been a fun time with the girl deck tonight. We are going in the opposite manner that we entered, ladies and gentlemen, which means Wilson is starting us off. We are moving into our outros. Oh, actually, it's hard because I don't know if I could get him up there.
Is that you, John Wayne? Is this me?
Who said that? Who the fuck said that?
Okay. Wilson, would you be there? We go. Thank you. And we're now going to move into the midnight ranting outros. Wow, some actual magic. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. From my hands to the screen. Wilson, we have been midnight ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? I hope you had a fantastic time. What you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
Oh, I'm currently cutting myself and praising the eternal god Azathoth.
As you do.
Yeah.
And all right. Do you have any final thoughts on the subject?
I'm good. Concise.
All right. Thank you so very much.
I was hoping to see you like holding me in your hand.
I like to just rub and caress. And if this keeps on going into a much later night podcast, I feel like I get a channel on Pornhub and an OnlyFans. But thank you so very much, Wilson. Lovely having you on. And all right, we're going right down the list. Dan, we have been midnight ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you had a fantastic night. What you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
yeah, thanks for having me on, Amy. Nice hanging out with you. I don't think society is necessarily better without religion. I was just thinking that maybe less religion indicates the society's getting better, but I guess that's not necessarily true. Like with atheistic authoritarian regimes, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, generally speaking, I do think as a society gets more educated and progresses, and religion becomes less appealing to people that are better off. I think we could say that. But beyond that, I don't really think we can answer the question.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so very much, Dan. Lovely having you on. Mm-hmm. And all right.
Thanks, Dan.
And also, when I see you, it reminds me we also have to put. Oh my! We also have to put the Book of Mormon, LDS Church, in the hot seat as well more often.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you so very much, and we are going to AJ. What is up, Alias Jr.? We have been midnight ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you had a fun time. What do you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
I don't really have any final thoughts, but I just wanted to show that this painting that I made tonight.
Cool.
So I'm done.
That's beautiful.
That is actually
that's really good.
a beautiful freaking painting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Little Bob Ross and you.
I do it to relax and de-stress.
There you go.
See, I wish I could 2D paint. That is freaking amazing. All right. We are going to keep on going down to The Godfather. I can't. That's so funny. Now I'm looking at Randolph and Mark, both with hoods, and now I can't. Now all I think about is hoods. All right. Randolph Richardson. We have been Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Hope you had a fun time. And what do you got going on, and what are your final thoughts? Oh,
you're on mute.
First of all, thank you. First of all, what's going on is on September 24th. That's this coming Saturday. That's tomorrow. Now that we're past midnight, you made it past midnight again, Amy. Congratulations. We will be in Stanley Park in the Rose Garden in Vancouver, British Columbia, here in Canada, to have another in-person community event. Everybody's welcome. It's free. I know a lot of people aren't from this area, but there are anybody who is, or if you know anybody who is, please let them know. You can find information about this event at CanadianAtheists.ca, the website, under the events section. It's always there. We'll have the new events posted there all the time as well. We had one last month, and we just did a stroll in the park. We're doing an outdoorsy kind of approach on this, because I think a lot of people in our demographic of those who don't believe in deities and are really not so interested in being in a stuffy building listening to lectures about a book. So it was quite a nice experience, and it looks like there's more people interested in attending this one, and this is something we've been wanting to do for the last few years, but had to put all the plans on hold during the pandemic because we didn't want to contribute to spreading the virus. So COVID-19 is, we've been able to avert that, and things are getting generally better, so we're able to do these events now. And starting out outdoors works out quite well because that's a bit safer as a venue for this sort of thing anyway. So thank you, everybody who takes an interest in that. The question of the topic that you brought here today, you and James brought up, is of whether religion is society be better without religion. I think it depends on the religion and how much influence that religion has in society. Political influence, I think, is highly inappropriate for religions to have. And yet we see it all the time, all over the place, having influence, and some to extreme degrees, such as under Islam, where the religion itself attempts to serve as a justice system, but really it ultimately turns into an injustice system because of the problem with these religions being that they're unchanging and they're inflexible, and they fight us every step of the way on our nature to adapt and improve. They want to hold us back. They want to keep us in the old ways. You've got people who are in quoting parts of these religions that say these words can't be changed. This happens in Christianity, for example. And there's a group of Christians who are biblical inerrantists, and they believe that the Bible is not in error and must not be changed at all under any circumstance. And yet we have translations, so things have changed. And you compare the translations, you can see differences in wording there. So it's not been very successful, but overall, the main messages are still pretty awful. They're divisive. We see these different denominations, and they add a divisive element to society because some of the fundamental characteristics of religions include being a part of an in-group, and anybody who's not part of that in-group is therefore inferior or disadvantaged in some way and looked down upon and chastised for not being part of that. As atheists, we experience this kind of discrimination, and it has to go. It does not help society. It divides people. And so the other part of it is a lot of the religions bring people in and try to drag them down and tell them how horrible they are, and then to lift them up and give them praise. And it's a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster, which is also not healthy for us. So touching on what materialist Dan was just saying about education being an important key to it, I agree. As long as what's being taught is also being considered in this, and I'm sure he means to do that, because there are certain, if it's a religious institution teaching education, that's providing educational services, sometimes like they may leave out and incorrectly teach critical thinking skills and logic and whatnot. And one example I've heard from people who've been through religious universities is that they're in these kinds of classes that say there's always, nothing's absolute, there's an exception to every rule, and the exception is God. So you need to question everything else, apply critical thinking to that, make an exception for God. Anyway, I've gone on a bit long, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not at all. We love to hear ranting.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having us on.
In fact, I want to just shout out 2 fantastic content creators, because I didn't put their links up there, but I want to. I want to show. First of all, we had just a second ago. We had Answers in Atheist, not Answers. We had Atheist Junior, and I want to put his website up there. And we have Randolph Richardson, and I want to put his up there. Well, his thing was just up there. I didn't put, or he already had his.
Thank you very much. And yeah, Atheist Junior, he does a lot of coverage of important topics, including debunking Kent Hovind's nonsense, and he does it so well. He adds. The way he presents, it's actually fun to listen to and fun to see it. It's just, the comments coming, you can hardly wait, and he puts just the right delay in, and just delivery is excellent. There's one question, one thing came up in your live text just now that Freak has written. Thank you, Canadian truckers. I would exclude from that the Freedom Convoy, because they were operating in illegal protest. But the rest of the truckers, yes, thank you very much.
But I also want to get one last shout out, Randolph, because I have been coming on to your stream for the past few weeks, and it has been so much friggin' fun. So if you could just remind everyone out there that we are looking for theists to actually come convince atheists that a god or goddess exists.
Yeah, so this program started by Taco. He's the visionary who put us all together. He deserves the credit for all of that, and he continues to manage the queue and is an active part of all this. And he keeps everything running behind the scenes. Awesome. We run as a fortnightly program, which means we run every 2 weeks, and we are the original idea of the show was to have people convince anyone on the panel that a god exists, and I suggested adding a goddess in there, and everybody agreed, sure, why not?
No, you did.
So that's why we have it as a god or a goddess exists. I like to be more inclusive as much as possible, and we've had a few challenges over the months that we've been running this since I think about February of this year, 2022, that people have come on and presented an idea of a goddess, but it's been a small number. We look forward to more of it. It's great to get the variety. We get a lot of Christians on there, a fair number of Muslims. It would be nice to see people come presenting different deities from different religions as well, and because we always like the variety. But yeah, Amy, you're an important part of this. Every member on the panel I consider to be equally important, and really glad to have you as part of our team. So thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Randolph Richardson, that's Randolph spelled with an F for freedom, there's a playlist. If you go to playlists, there's one there for Discord panels. That's where you will find this series. The whole archive.
Thank you so very much, Randolph.
Thanks, Randolph. Good to hear from you.
I do want to. Oh no, not this is the place to end. I want to shout out to, I think Leo and Stilette both had to leave, but they were fantastic. Shouting out to them. I wonder if Stilette has a YouTube channel that I should shill for. If they will, they can tell me next time, and I will. But Leo does. You guys should all be checking out Leo Felius right down there. And yeah, I think with that, we only have our headliner besides the co-pilots tonight. You became our headliner with Stilett and Randolph falling out, which means we have the other twin, Mark Reid. We have been Midnight Ranting on Is Society Better Off Without Religion? Lovely having you on, as always. And what you got going on, and what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, what I got going on, I got a big debate on Monday, not that big. It's against Jill, who accused me of not showing up to the last one, so I am going to be very happy to debate him on does the Bible support slavery. That's
and
going
Mark,
to be...
you have to be defending the 51% of the other sex is standing on your shoulders because Jill does not debate women.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
Like it's it's one of those types of things. It goes that deep. But yes, I'm sorry. That's just like a little cherry on the top. But yes.
Maybe I can convince him I'm a woman so he leaves me alone. Maybe I can do that. Actually, I think sorry? Oh, it's Sunday. Oh, it's on Debate Cafe. Sorry. Sunday 8:30 kind of thing.
Okay.
No, 9:30. I do apologize. 9:30
Eastern.
But
USC.
AJ did turn me into a woman. So can I screen share for a second?
Absolutely.
So if I can convince him I'm a woman,
makeup on you,
he will leave me alone. No, he used an app. AJ's awesome, man. Check this out.
Oh my.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
It's the same thing to Kent Hovind in the one.
I know that was so funny. Well, he did the same thing to Kent Hovind, and I was like, do it to Matt Powell, do it to Matt Powell.
See,
and
what you really need is an app that will just make you like that for the debate, because that would just
that would be awesome. I'm actually going to look for that. That would be great. But anyway, yeah, I got that debate against Jill, which I'm really looking forward to, because like I really want to give him the treatment. He made me a little bit mad, to be honest with you. Just being an absolute douche by email. So, but I won't talk badly of him. I'm just going to really give him a good performance.
Give it to him.
Give it to him hard, yeah. Give him the treatment. I've got a debate coming up against Hovind. It's the third debate, end of the trilogy, in October. So that's on my radar, and I'm going to really enjoy that. Yeah, so that will be fantastic. I'm really looking for, if he's not in jail, of course, like that's always a possibility. But
maybe he can debate.
Yeah,
maybe he can debate you. Maybe he can debate you from prison if he's on good behavior.
I'll do it. Yeah, good behavior. He can sit there with a laptop and debate from jail, sure. Yeah, and apart from that, I'm going to be doing some more sort of room ambushes. I don't know how to call it. I just go into a room and I'm the only atheist there, and I'll just take on the entire
room.
Can
I ask you, Mark, isn't it a little odd that like some of these apps are so theist heavy? Like what the hell is what the hell is that app? The not only TikTok, but like
Grindr?
Clubhouse. Thank Grindr. Yes,
right.
both of what you just said. But Clubhouse is very. And the weird thing, I've only found a few, and Darth Dawkins is like in half of them, and I'm like, you know what? Just fuck my phone. I don't need to be here.
Yeah. Stupid thing. Okay, so on the topic,
guy who would lurk on Telegram a lot.
Sorry,
Darth. He seems like a guy who would lurk on Telegram a lot.
I don't know. I'm not looking for him. Right. I have no wish to talk to him. No, he's terrible. He's a terrible person. But but I think with this subject, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Randolph. Yeah, that religion does have harms, and I do think we can sort of look at other countries where religion has sort of fallen away, and yes, there may be a case of them becoming more developed has caused religion to fall, but I think we can kind of point to these countries like the Scandinavian countries and like Japan sort of stopping their focus, and this is the problem with religion, it stops the focus on people and puts it on a god that sort of people don't really benefit out of that.
Well,
so I think that they become more humanist and focus more on their people and what they need and what the problems of the people, not the problems of the doctrine of what God's laid down. So they're less focused on stopping people from wearing the wrong clothes or stopping people from watching the wrong things, and more focused on how do we actually make people's lives better. And I would argue that I would even though I do concede that it may be that losing religion is naturally a part of more education and the sort of place becoming better. I do acknowledge that. But I think there's certainly, without a doubt, some religions you can say, no, without that religion, that society will be unequivocally better off. Like if you just tossed the entire prosperity gospel tomorrow, the country of the US and countries around the world would be better off. The people in those religions would be better off than giving their money to an organization that does nothing for them and just benefits one or two people or, a group of people making money out of it. I think that there's a few religions like that out there that sort of, so the Southern Baptist fundamentalist, I think it was the NIFB, NIFB, that if we just toss them tomorrow, the society would be better off. If we got rid of what's that really famous one, Westboro Baptist, right? The society would be better off. Yeah, straight away it'd be better off. I generally think I take the affirmative. I think that society would be better off without religion, and I think that we can have secular humanist organizations that can fill the place of providing community and support and fellowship, and we don't need religion for that. If you're like the debater going to say, well, that is religion, then fine, that's religion, but that's not my definition of religion. I don't know where he got that from, but I suppose he's entitled to his definitions, but I'm in support of it. And thank you so much for listening to me. And thanks everybody who's on here, and James.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so very much, Mark. Exactly. Lovely having you on as always. And all right.
Amy,
we're going to end it. What's that?
I have a suggestion for you. If you can just put us all back on the screen together.
All righty then.
Yeah, I think you might benefit from putting the word hoodie into your YouTube description or keywords.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out. I know that Randolph and Mark are here. I'm just trying to figure out which is which. That's
now we have the names on the thing, so yeah.
That's true, right? Though, hold on.
My name. I need to put my name back.
Hold on.
I'll get that.
I
moved it out of the way so some of the memes could be read.
I like Randolph. That tells me so much about you. Everything I need to know. You were like, listen, I could be talking about a lot of things. I could be going over very serious issues, but I need to post my memes, and I can appreciate that. With that, we are going to hand it over to the co-pilot.
Hand it over.
Another hoodie.
See, now you're standing me. Okay, I'll show it once. You're doing it to me. Okay, hold on. The memes are strong.
Pope by day, Sith Lord by night.
Oh, coincidence?
I've had the Pope for like 8 years.
That's true. We have the liberal hippie Pope now that, kind of. In comparison, but woohoo, Randolph, I just appreciate that the memes are strong with you. But,
that's so well said, Amy. That's brilliant.
But James, we have been doing our bread and butter tonight. It was, I would say, the diet version. Is the such. Normally, we have a lot of saturated fats of Abrahamic religious people, but tonight We went for a more Eastern flavor. We went for a deistic, pantheistic. But, in between all that, we do have to just understand that top level, is society better off without religion?
Well, I definitely think it would be. I definitely think so. And that's kind of the work that we're doing. We're pushing it in that direction because we do think it would be better. I think at the end of the day, whether some people think maybe it has utility or not, at the end of the day, you got to ask, is it true? And I think I don't think it is true, and I don't think people are going to be fooled by it and just continue to believe it, even though it's not true forever. So whatever utility it had at one point is going to be lost, because at the end of the day, it's not true. And people are not going to just keep believing in something just because you think it will benefit society for them to believe in it. And, for better or for worse, it's going away. And deal with it. Yeah.
Woo, thank you so very much, James.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
And all right. We actually made a stream that's going to be like in the allocated time spot for a podcast, which I am so excited. Though I like our 7-hour marathons too. Maybe not the 11-hour marathons. And we were convinced of a money back guarantee. James, we should be Christian right now. Though we've had that. Sir. Though we've had that same promise with the Dawaistic channels. Sir, I actually hope, however, you all had a fun time on this episode of Midnight Ranting. Is society better off without religion? A little bit, yeah. Where we had a fun after party on a modern day debate inspired back and forth of T-Jump versus PF Chung. You can see the debate yourself in the description below on, is society better off without religion? For a good time worth leaving your religion. However, I do want to thank my co-host, James W. Ding! Sending love to Peter out there. I could spend hours just shilling all the things he produces. Sending love to Peter, to Gonna Go For It, to Atheist Jr., to Aaron Ra. I think he's helping Mark now. He's helping out all. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you suddenly think that Yahweh is a cunt, then Peter may have a spot. But it's actually great, once again, because we don't have holy wars. Oh, don't we have holy wars? But yes, my co-host James W. Just for fun. We have sprinkle wars with the little
please refresh
not
the
Nerf,
page to hear
super
the sounds.
soakers.
Please refresh the page to hear the sounds.
Oh, what's that? Soros is calling?
Oh, I'm sorry. What is that? Oh, okay.
That's Soros.
Damn it.
I'm disappointed she turned off her police scanner earlier.
Listen,
That's what it sounds
sometimes it was just interesting because every once in a while you have to get confirmation from Soros. He transfers our shekels from the Galactic Federation, and it's just so hard sometimes to, once you're dealing with currencies from all their solar systems.
It has to go to this one little bank in Israel.
What?
I still haven't received my check. Can you ask George Soros about that?
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry. I should have this. You should be an official
Trudeau
paid
probably,
NASA shill
put a block on it.
evolutionist.
Talk to Trudeau
but yes,
about it.
He never calls.
Speaking of which, I want to thank our other guests as well, including Beebsy, Stilette, Mark, Wolfe, Leophilius, Randolph, Atheist Jr., Dan, and Wilson. Woo! As well as all the lovely people in chat. Mwah, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. Every once in a while, I get like creationists who get very nervous that I do this, which if you go, I've been doing that even before concerts, but you go to a concert and this is all they do. And, but sometimes they get very nervous. You giving those devil horns? That's right, baby.
Yes.
Rock on. Yes, we
He
are.
is.
Right up the.
What was that? The rebel Nazarene who's like, "Oh, what do you have that all-seeing eye for back there?"
Oh, I know.
Your
Like, I am
your satanic
amazed.
gear back there.
But the great thing is I bought this basically because another theist said it was the best tool, better than anything
Ouija
science
board.
has, was a Ouija board. But then you get another theist that turns around and is like sweating balls, like that you now have brought Satan into the household. And so,
He was already there. Don't.
that's true. Well, he's a creationist flat earther, but how is there really any different kind? Anyway, if you enjoy the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. It really helps us. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And then you gain access to that bell icon, which when set to all will send you reminders about upcoming premieres within the next week or so. Look for something fun. And our live streams like this. Woo! What's up, interwebs? Or hey, why do you have an LGBTQ voice? Hey. It's okay. He'll get over it. I swear. He'll accept himself one day. He'll
One
come
day.
back. He'll probably be an atheist and be like, "Oh, it's just all that baggage. I thought
He'll
Jesus was gonna burn me for my."
Oh, he'll be a woman. He'll be a transition.
Can I tell you, James? Like we kid. If I was a betting woman, I wouldn't say it's 100%, but we would go like 30, right?
Well,
like
I mean, I have to say, John Vance might look better in a dress than you.
Oh my! I will say I will have that statement. Is he the guy who's out of?
No.
All right, one of them did. One
I
of
was
them
just
did.
a Twitch
random
troll.
theist.
Yeah.
Oh my goddess. Anyway.
But he would probably.
But so
look
many
better in a
of
dress,
them.
too.
Why is it so many of them? Like I consistently, here's how it goes. It goes. The topic of the day: why was Moses a real person? Oh, we have our first question. Why
From
do
Petunia.
gays like the D? I can't even. More like, what is the gay voice?
And, our good friend, the Morning Glory, or
The Morning Glory.
Daffodil.
And then what happens, irrespectable in the process, is that they go, we kind of blame them of projection. And they go, no. That is something that you probably bring up to everyone who hates LGBTs randomly in a subject that has nothing to do with it.
I think
We're like-
Sunflower's just misunderstood. Mostly Sunflower is misunderstood by Sunflower, but you know.
I think so.
Wow.
I was trying not to say the name, Mark. I was trying.
Well, and I was
I'll
trying.
pick it up.
I feel
love
bad.
Sunflower. He's awesome.
I brought up the
I
gay
know pop
voice
up out of
twice.
nowhere.
I'm trying to think
Oh, no.
of another example because I know
Give
there's
me,
like
buddy.
a third or fourth example of like, because originally it does. It
Well,
makes you feel like you're crazy. It makes you feel like, damn, am I just bringing up that they're? Am I just saying they're gay because they called me gay? It's like no.
Well, no, there
I
was
think-
the time when John Vance and you were asking him like, so if there was no religion, would you be interested? If Islam wasn't true, would you be open to having a monogamous relationship? Because he's like, well, you would still be okay. You could still be monogamous, but would you be open to having a husband? And he's, well, yeah, maybe if Islam wasn't true. And
not only that, thank you. Not to keep on putting him on the spot, but we got into it where he was having, we're very pro sex work, but he was having relationships with men. Like, it is this. I hate to say, not the stereotype. It's the joke for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. It keeps happening over and over and over. Okay, we've beat this over like a dead horse, or like I guess Kent Hovind, Matt Powell's, Jesse Lee Peterson, and Ted Haggard's master.
So Ray comforted.
Anyway, Ray. Well, I swear, you think Ray? The problem is I'm not even joking. See, that's the thing. I wouldn't include Ray. The 4 I included, I'm not. I know Jesse's out. Ted Haggard
I
is
don't mean as
completely
gay.
heterosexual. But I joke, non-joke about Kent and Matt Powell. Okay, like anyone who has that violent views against homosexuality, like, is someone who just got like beat by his dad, who found out that he had a boyfriend. I don't know what to say other than that.
Wearing women's clothes.
Yeah, that's some serious issues that he needs to get through.
Well, we also know Mr. Batman is cured.
Jesus Smith. But yes,
Mr. Batman is also was cured of the gay. So.
Also, Jesse is like the one. We always say how the TOS always agrees with us, and it does, almost always. But we took one for the team with that Jesse Lee Peterson podcast. It stays kind of an R-rated one, but that's okay. It's still worth it.
It was fun.
I don't know if you know this, but did you know that women actually can perform oral sex? I had no idea this was a thing.
All the other guys there were all like...
I got told in a debate recently that all porn was gay.
Yeah, that was
all
my favorite.
Porn.
Well, whoever told you that obviously hasn't seen enough porn.
I guess so.
And the question was put to him: straight porn, is that gay? Yo, straight porn is gay.
They took the Ron White joke seriously, and now they don't look at porn. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is why we're against religion. I'll bring it back on topic. That really,
there you go.
All of this shit, they would just be themselves. They would chill the fuck out if it wasn't for religion. But yes, hey.
Chill out, dickwad.
Why not leave a comment once the video is done? You can also leave a super thanks, and we'll read it back as thanks on the next episode after the show. In fact, someone was asking, often we have after shows. That's right, baby.
After
on the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below, where all the cool people go, along with our fantastic channel members, woohoo, and our evolving badge system. I can't help it. I'm so proud of those. Like, you could just get colors,
job,
and I love colors, but I love that they're little. Anyway,
Your cat is awesome, James.
Yeah, he is. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Gizmo is on. Gizmo has a smile, a consistent smile. Like, I don't know. It's adorable.
You have a smile now? Yeah.
Though the best way to help us make even more content, help Gizmo get even more catnip, and to unlock some unique perks is by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the... Oh my! See, I was about to say it. Rudy, welcome to the stream. I feel bad. This is like the very end. We'll even get you up here. I disagree due to morals being subjective. Without a creator, can't determine right or wrong without the bias, which is way different. Societies have been contradicting laws, even in different time periods. Sounds very fascinating. And Rudy, welcome to the channel. We are actually on the way out, but come to our Discord. In fact, I will send the Discord into all of the
You're welcome, Jay.
channels.
Oh, we got
I'll
Jesse
just say
Peterson out there.
This whole
We
idea,
got Jesse.
this whole idea with objective morals is flawed because we have the laws of physics, which we don't seem to be able to break those laws. So they're objective, it seems. So if there's objective moral laws, we shouldn't be able to break those moral laws either. Yet people break them all the time.
Nobody should be able to.
Yeah, they also
disagree.
say
I think you're conflating laws there.
Yeah.
That's like saying, hey, we've got legal laws, we shouldn't be able to break them.
Yeah.
Of course we can break them. I can go out and speed tomorrow.
Yeah.
And also they say that God will not be mocked, and yet this channel keeps on thriving, baby.
Somehow.
And so,
Some miracle.
yes.
There is a God.
If
No,
their
it's
version of
the
morality
Alaska
was true, there would never be moral dilemmas or disagreements.
But we had a great time. We have been Midnight Ranting on Is
He is beta,
Society
Jesse.
Better Off Without Religion? It makes you a beta, and we will see you all
You're a beta,
in the
Randall.
next episode of
Jesse
Skeptic
Peterson. Thanks.
Ball Z.
Hey, that's not the right order.